the choice, Rolex 24 or the 500? Because I mean, personally, I'd probably like to see the 500 just because it's quite quite a legendary race. Of course, the 24 Hours of Daytona absolutely legendary as well. But no, just yeah, NASCAR is yeah, pretty immense.
Yeah, it's definitely a great spectacle. Having 40 odd of those cars roaring around, you can feel it. You feel it in your chest when they go past. It's quite an experience. I definitely would recommend for anyone that's a motorsport fan, even if they're not a big oval fan, to go and experience one of those races if they can. It's really good. If I hadn't already seen a NASCAR event, I probably would choose the 500 over the 24. But having been to one already, and I'm a big endurance fan, I definitely would like to attend the 24. That would be good, particularly with the driver lineups they get there. There's a lot of people that sort of come out of the woodwork and jump on a team for the Rolex 24 who don't necessarily do a lot of those formats of races. So yeah, be interesting to see who turns up next year.
Yeah, it should certainly be. By the way, we might have a changeover because I think we can speak to Adam Barr right now. He should be in the commentary box.
Oh, hello.
Hello. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, we're 3.5 hours into this race, as you've probably seen. Have you got control of the cameras now?
Oh, where's he going? Where's Daniel Dye going? More importantly,
a different route. Safe to say. Oh, he's found a different route. I mean, he barely lost at any time there. Might need to exploit that in the future. But yeah, have you got control of the cameras now?
I've taken control off Sam Kumo, and I am at your disposal for the next 2.5 hours. So, thanks to Sam Kumo for filling in for the first half.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, we don't have to have any downtime or anything.
No, part 2 is up and running, so we'll say goodbye to our viewers on part 1. But if you want to watch the concluding 2.5 hours, come over to the part 2 stream, which is going now, and we'll be able to carry on from there.
Awesome.
And the link for part 2 is in the chat for on the part 1 stream before that closes off. Adam?
Thank you very much. Yeah, a bit of trouble getting the stream up. A bit of difficulty on the railway as well. Hence why the changeover was a bit later than originally planned. So thanks to Sam for filling in for those for that extra 45 minutes or so.
Yes, and also we might have the correct cameras now.
Oh yeah, I did get your updated.
Thank you very much.
Message. So I believe we are on the correct cameras.
So yeah, like we said, 2.5 hours to go in this race. I mean, I guess Adam, of course, Daytona. This combination of is this a replay?
No, that's him doing it again.
Wow. I mean, when I said maybe there's an advantage there, I wasn't being totally serious, but I mean, he's not losing much time doing that at the moment. But yeah, Adam, this combination, I mean, on Apex Racing TV, we've broadcast quite a few times around here. Of course, BSRTC always has its season finale around this track, so it's certainly legendary on Apex Racing TV.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so plenty of crazy season finales here over the past. I think the biggest one was 2015, where we had the title decided pretty much in the bus stop chicane on the final lap of the final race. So this track has been known to throw a bit of controversy. Just on Daniel Dye doing an interesting configuration of the circuit. We were doing me, Alex Simpson, and Andrew Woodhouse were doing the 24 Hours of Le Mans a couple of years ago, and our car was so badly damaged that we were basically, I'm pretty sure I can say this now, we were basically cutting the chicanes, and our car was so slow in a straight line that by the time we got to the end of each part of the Mulsanne straight, we would be able to serve the slowdown penalty in time. So
Oh right, okay.
that's how bad the car was in the end. We were great in the Porsche curves. It was just on the on the Mulsanne where we were really coming unstuck.
I mean, you're probably flat out through the Porsche curves, I imagine. Absolutely storming around those corners.
True, yeah, it is true. We were able to gain about 2 seconds on this guy in front of us at one point, and then he just breezed by us on the Mulsanne straight. Right then, yeah, fill me in. What's been for viewers that might have just joined us as well? Yeah, what's been going on in the first 3.5 hours here?
Well, we've had RLB racing for in the DP category at least, kind of dominating so far. About 2 minutes sporty clear of Jack Dormage in the GTSL red car. There he is on screen. And yeah, so those two fights for the DP lead. We have had quite a few DPs. Unfortunately, 2 of them retired quite early on. Blake Trewick, unfortunately, retired. And William Krushka seemingly stuck in the pits at the moment. Brad, do we know what happened to William out there? He was struggling out there, there's no doubt about that. But I didn't see a terminal damage for him.
I think it could just be a longer stop due to the damage that car was carrying. I think they might, just the way it's been handling, I think they might have finally perhaps elected to take all the repairs, perhaps before they didn't, because the stop beforehand wasn't too long. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the lane for a little bit, given the way that car was handling. And obviously the other prototype's been in there for a very long time. We're not clear if that one will be rejoining. I think it's been 55 minutes. So if they are to rejoin, I would assume that would be quite soon, because even an engine change in that car probably wouldn't take much more than an hour.
Yeah, I think so. And then in the GTE category, Aaron Mathieu. By the way, we've got 4 GTEs out here, but each one of them has led the race for a decent amount of time so far. And Mathieu leading the way for Ice Dragons iRacing IDR Red. Has been struggling with his connection, but so far hasn't cost him too much. He's now 50 seconds ahead of Lance Chaugnessy in the Autosport Petit Road. They actually had a nice battle earlier on, actually, for about half an hour, but seems as though Mathieu has got quite an advantage over Chaugnessy out there. And then Chad McCosk, who is in the car for the first time for HH Racing. 3rd place out of the GTEs. There he is. That BMW was missing the front half of its car earlier on, but you wouldn't notice right now, it must be said. Jeff Pogo leading... Oh, sorry, also Drew Becker is still running the way. Sorry, apologies to Drew Becker, because Enter Name here were leading this race for the first hour and a half or so. It feels like a while ago, but then they had a crash, and now they are 6 laps down on the leaders of that category, but they are going very fast. But I think it might be in vain, unfortunately, for Drew Becker. He is saying some very good times, but a long way to catch up. Then in the GT3s, Jeff Pogo leading the way for Team Mandy. They were having a good battle with the McConey brothers, Jeffrey and his brother, I cannot remember, Greg McConey, of course. And they should, in fact they are on circuit, are they? The McConeys? I'm not quite sure. No, they aren't in the race at the moment. But Greg McConey is still in the session, so I imagine he's going to be jumping into the car quite soon.
No, it's just this William Kruska is in the pits, but I don't know whether that's just something that's an irregularity on my end. But yeah, it's just showing up at the bottom of the screen that he's entered the pits. So I don't know whether we might be seeing him back on the circuit soon or whatever. But yeah, that was one little anomaly that I noticed there. But either way, back here we are with the leaders of Daniel Dye. I was about to say as well that maybe me entering the stream has made everybody's cars that might have been damaged during the broadcast look pristine. But having said that, Daniel's here has got a little bit of front left damage. as he goes through the bus stop chicane, and then subsequently disappears. I hope he comes back. There he is.
Yeah, there's been a few little connection issues this evening, but fortunately, I think we've only had one car actually leave the session because of connection issues. So, touch wood, we don't see that happen again. But yeah, Daniel's had a couple of adventures since he got in the car, but he's seems to have settled down a little bit since then.
Have we had our off-topic discussion on the United States Grand Prix yet?
Oh no, we haven't actually. Are you saying that it should be held here? I mean, that would be quite outlandish.
I don't know. I did. I was on while I was stuck at a signal point on the train. I was thinking of some stuff to chat about while the race continued. If there was
we don't know the results of the US Grand Prix.
Oh right.
And we don't want to know.
Okay.
Apology. I feel like I've just cut off.
Well, it's a good thing that I didn't spoil it. But
yeah. So I thought you were going to say the US Grand Prix where it should be held.
Okay.
But
well,
no.
that can be a topic of discussion as well.
Yeah, well, there's certainly been some criticism of COTA, not just by Formula One. MotoGP riders aren't so fond of that track either, with the bumps that have been there the last couple of years for them, and it seems like they've gotten so bad that the Formula One cars are not so fond of it either.
Ooh, God.
Ooh.
And Daniel Dye, I don't know if that was over the bumps at the bus stop, but either way, he's come unstuck there and he's got back going again. But if you've got a 2.5 minute lead, I think you can forgive one or two of them. But you are right. Yeah, COTA has come under the cosh a little bit this weekend because of the bumps. I did see the WEC sent a tweet out saying that's nothing and showed the bumps of Sunset Bend at Sebring to throw a bit of debate into the equation. From what I saw during the Grand Prix today, they said on Sky that they are planning to close the circuit during the winter and resurface parts of the circuit because yeah, there were a few bits of the track that it did look quite uncomfortable. Oh, and he's gone again. Oh, we should get the camera off him.
Yeah, that might help, but he possibly just trying to gather things back up. But once you get offline, it can take a few corners for the tyres to clean up. And looks like
there we go.
Probably still struggling with the tyres coming back in after that adventure he had through the bus stop earlier. And that's the replay on board. Luckily, he just kept it off the barrier there.
Of all the places to spin, that's not the best place to spin, but of course spinning at the hairpin, not too bad. That gap though has gone down from about 3 minutes to 2 minutes 20, which is a sizable difference. I mean, 40 seconds has gone out of that gap in probably about half an hour or so since Daniel Dye has been in that car. Of course, we were speaking to him earlier. We've had a chat with plenty of the drivers out here, and a real-life oval driver is Daniel Dye, and in the south of America, so has a lot of experience in that, but not so much road experience, unfortunately, for him. So might struggle a little bit in this DP car, but he seems to certainly have decent pace, just that consistency struggling a little bit. But just back to COTA. I mean, to be fair, I think it's it's quite good at what it is on the tin as such. In that it's got a superb S's section at least. It's got some nice long straights, and actually the stadium section works quite well. So if it weren't for the bumps, it would actually be quite successful. I don't know if the F1 race today was a snooze fest, but usually does have decent events. So yeah, does I think does a decent job. But personally, I mean, I'd love to see Road America at some point, even though that's never even up for question. But I guess Midwest, are they necessarily the highest F1 fanatics in the world. I'm not quite sure, but I mean, I'd say that track is perfect for Formula 1.
I don't know. Road Atlanta, that's Georgia. I don't know how big F1 fever is out there, but yeah, Elkhart Lake at Road America. That wouldn't be too bad. Obviously, IndyCar have made a return there in recent years. They've also made a return to Laguna Seca 2 this year, and that was a welcome return. It was a good race there too, if memory serves correctly. So there are an abundance of tracks. I think COTA's the 10th different track in America to host an F1 race. Sebring,
Watkins Glen, of course.
Yeah, let's see if we can name them. We've got Sebring, COTA, the Glen, Long Beach, Indianapolis, Las Vegas, Caesars Palace. That's 6. Phoenix 7, Detroit 8, Dallas 9. Oh God, one more then.
Oh.
Oof.
Well, this is quite a quandary.
Yeah, if you do know, do get in touch on yeah. Or have we miscounted? I'll have to write them down. I won't bore you by reading them through all out to you again. But there wasn't one in the 80s that I'm completely missing. No, not too sure.
What was the year where they had 3 races in America? And I know they were Vegas, Detroit, and
Long Beach was that?
And Long Beach, was it? Okay.
Yeah, all basically street circuits. So.
Yes. There was also a clip just on the topic of bumps. There was another clip of another one of those kind of these are real bumps, and it was a video of the San Jose.
Oh, the Champ Car circuit.
Yes. Which, of course, is barely in America. It's the southernmost tip of California, and yeah, that's going over a railway line, I believe. So,
yeah.
Gets plenty of it, and of course that's full throttle, so it's not even like a proper corner. That circuit, I doubt it could get Grade A status for Formula 1. But it looks like a decent amount of fun, it must be said, and that would be quite a challenge for the drivers.
I had it on R Factor 1, as Daniel Dye is into the pits. It was a decent Champ Car mod in 2006 and 7. They had the Las Vegas street circuit in there too. That was a favourite of mine. There was a really pesky chicane in that. Just before the finish. Daniel Dye into the pits then. We'll see how long it takes for him to get fully serviced. He should remain in the lead when it's finished. What else? You mentioned the San Jose circuit. Baltimore, that was another one that I think had a crossing over over a railway. They put a chicane in. I think it just made it worse.
Was it... looks like Daniel must have...
Is he not?
He can't find his pit box, it seems. Oh, he's given up.
Well, I'm not sure what happened there.
I was nonplussed by that, but we'll have a look at a replay and see if he actually did manage to locate the box. I think he did.
I think the car's been repaired.
Yeah, the car looks brand new.
So, I'm not sure, maybe he just had it in reverse when it dropped off the jacks. Something a little bit odd happened there, but it does look like the car was serviced.
Apparently he was stationary for 34 seconds, so he should be okay.
There you go. Everything's...
Might have been in reverse when the car dropped. So
I wouldn't put it past him. In fact, let's go to the cockpit, because I do believe we do get gear. We can see what gears they're in these days on our racing. So he's in first gear here. The RLB racing car number 5.
I mean, reversing down the pit lane, that could be a stop-go penalty.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I don't know if he was trying to avoid the pace car or something. That might have been the reason. Then he stops.
I guess he wasn't complete with the... Maybe he wanted to take tyres or something?
I've got a theory that maybe he wanted to get the fast repair done and he hadn't done it. So maybe he reversed and then came back in and then got that and then got going again.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, interesting.
Well,
yeah, on the US track talk regarding bumps, etc. Was it Portland? Was that the track that was on another track that was on an airbase?
Yes, I think
Or
so.
on runways?
It certainly looks that way. The front straight looks that way. It's strange that circuit isn't on iRacing. I appreciate it's on the West Coast, Oregon, of course. But yeah, it's one of the major kind of American circuits that iRacing have failed to scan so far. So no, that'd be awesome to get in the game, and would be an interesting F1 host. I think it would be very quick lap times, like probably sub 1 minute lap times. But would be a unique event.
Jack Dolmage is come into the pits and come back out. There has been also a change in the Indy Autosport car. Stephen Brown has got into it, and out of the car has got Lawrence Shaughnessy. So he is available for a chat in a bit. If he is, then feel free to step into the Discord. He might be able to help us with our American tracks problem. There were a few airfield circuits as well throughout the time of the early, in the noughties of IndyCar. You had Edmonton in Canada. You had Cleveland as well. That was a airfield airfield 2. They're all quite bumpy. A lot of 90-degree corners as well.
Cleveland, I believe, has the Museum for Rock and Roll, by the way.
Oh wow!
There was a pub quiz on that, and we said, what's the capital of Georgia? We put the wrong answer basically.
It's not Atlanta, is it?
Atlanta. We put Atlanta, and that was wrong.
Okay.
So, we were like the other end of the United States, to be honest. Cleveland, it was. So there you go. That is literally a pub quiz. For you right there.
Well, geography's bad. I've just typed in capital of Georgia into into Google, and Tbilisi comes up because, of course, Georgia is a country. There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
The capital of Georgia in America is indeed Atlanta. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. The stuff we get up to at 11:30 in the UK. Lawrence Shaughnessy then is in the interview waiting area, and we can grab him in for another quick chat after he's just stepped out of the car. It is Stephen Brown that's just taken over. It is Stephen Brown that's just taken over from him in the Indy Autosport Petite Road car. And Lawrence, how was that shift? You're out of the car and now you're in the interview room with us. What was it like out there?
Pretty good stint. The day-night transition made the track a little bit better. We were a little loose when we started out, but we were a lot better. Coming towards the end of that stint, we decided on the fly to just kind of double stint the tires, and that wound up working out. We kept the gap about 40, 50 seconds or whatever it was. My teammates are definitely faster than I am. I was just here to mitigate damage, run a stint, have some fun, get some practice for the 24 later on next year.
Is there much difference in how the car handles once you go from the day to the night?
You can definitely tell a difference in the grip. Not locking the tires up so bad, under braking for these sharp hairpins that this track features so heavily. Yeah, it definitely just handles better. It fits my driving style a little better. I'm a little aggressive. And my lap times show it because I don't hit apexes all the time, but I try to keep her straight and on the track.
Well, we've just been talking about all the tracks to host the United States Grand Prix over the years. Have you got a favourite, one that sticks out at all?
I like COTA. COTA's a great track. I heard you guys mention Road America. Love to see that. But I think it would be very interesting to see F1 cars go around here and to see how they handle those big ovals and what kind of speeds they can put up.
Yeah, I don't know where the DRS zone would be on a track like this. That'd be pretty interesting, I must admit. Are you done for the evening in the car now? Is it Steve that's in the car now until 6 hours, or are you planning to get back in it?
Steven's gonna bring it home for us. We decided to just run 3 2-hour stints each. Obviously, Steven's got a little bit extra time, just the way the fuel mileage worked out. But Derek did a great job to start the race. Unfortunate penalty there, right at the start from his foot slipping off the brake, but he brought us back, got us up into the lead after the end of his second stint. Couldn't hold it. Had a little bit of a mishap when he was fighting that BMW. But Steven's gonna go ahead and bring it home for us, and hopefully we can cut this 40-second gap down again and get out here and get in the lead.
Dewey sticking around for the rest of the race. Going to be keeping an eye on Steve and giving him some motivation.
Oh, of course, I'm driver crew chief of this team. No, I'm kidding. We all work together, but I'll be hanging around if not on the sim watching the stream. So hopefully we can finish this in one piece. Unlike Petit Le Mans, we didn't have as much success as we have here today. But yeah, hopefully Steven brings us home and P2 if not P1.
Great, well, great to hear from you. Glad your stint went well, and yeah, glad that you're enjoying the show. So hopefully we'll hear from you maybe again before the evening's out.
Yeah, man. Thanks, guys. Thanks for broadcasting, and thanks to William for putting this on. And I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, great to have you in the interview room as well, Lawrence. I must admit. So yeah. Oh, watch out! Oh, no!
Oh, he just got wrecked by a lap car. Go figure.
There we go.
Looks okay.
Look, yeah.
Looks okay. Going.
That wasn't Jack actually. It was Drew Becker, I think, in the Enter Name Here car. But yeah, just about got away with that. Did Steve? I'll let you go. And
yeah, we still got that fast repair in our back pocket too. So if we need that, we can go ahead and throw that on there.
Oh, fantastic! There you go. Yeah, no need to stress just yet. Well, yeah, Lawrence, I'll let you go back and speak to Steve about that moment and the rest of the race that lies ahead. Thanks for coming and speaking to us.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys.
There we go. Good to hear from Lawrence. And tell you what, Brad, that's we don't often get that. A co-driver here in the interview room, just as he nearly gets harpooned by a wayward Ferrari.
Yeah, it was probably a good move for him to leave before we really put the curse on them. So yeah, if anyone else is watching out there and wants to see their car get into some adventures, just jump in the booth and have a word with us. That's all it takes, it would seem.
Well, yeah, they have. They have got a fast repair up their sleeve. Shows you that Daniel Dye decided to take it now. Here it is again. Oh dear. He did approach.
He was coming in quite fast there.
Yeah, coming in hot, I think. Licked the stamp, but I don't know where he sent it. Put it in the Frax mailbox probably, rather than the actual one. While we were talking and looking at Steve Brown, something did catch the corner of my eye, and it was this guy. It was Daniel Dye going off the circuit yet again. This was
in the background. I saw him do that. Well, yeah, he did it at the bus stop here, but also early on in the interview. In the background, I saw him do that cut through the first sector. Yes. So, not sure if that's tactical, or they've just found that if they go too hot into turn one, that I don't know. Maybe they're trying to save tyre life, or no, surely not.
It's
not doing that.
It's like the Kimi Raikkonen at Interlagos, isn't it? Except there's no gate to stop him. Here, Daniel Dye. There it is. That was the one that we saw while we were talking to Lawrence, and he's back in the pits yet again. Is Daniel Dye. So maybe he didn't get enough fuel in or whatever, but either way, he is back into the pits and he's up on the jacks. So the pit crew all set to work on getting the tyres done, and it's a change of drivers because that is a familiar name. That is João Barbosa that is getting in. A familiar name.
There's a story behind that.
Yeah.
It's actually his son that's in the car, but it's under João's account. So I think it was Rodrigo is his son's name who's in the car.
But apparently João has been a little bit involved in the development of the setup, so he's been given his words of wisdom. Apparently, has he won the Rolex 24 Hours even? But certainly has driven in it previously. I'm
not sure if he has won it, but yeah, I do recall watching races with him participating in it quite a while ago.
Yeah, João Barbosa has won the Rolex 24 in 2003, 2010. That was a good team as well. In 2010, you had Ryan Dial, Mike Rockenfeller, Terry Bacella, and João Barbosa as well. That was a mighty fine team back in 2010, and most recently won it in 2018 with Philippe Albuquerque and Christian Fittipaldi at the wheel in the Cadillac DP. Won it in 2014 as well, just so statisticians think I haven't missed that one out.
Yeah.
And
yeah, should know a thing or two about setting up a car for her a few laps around here then.
Yeah, you think anyway, yeah. But that was João Barbosa anyway. Yeah, his son racing in this one, we believe, so definitely some words of advice off Dad, I reckon, before he gets in. If he is watching, welcome. And welcome to anybody that's just joined us as well. This is the Sim Races for Mental Health charity events here at the Daytona International Speedway. We've got just over 2 hours to go in the race. All 6 cars on the timing tower there. We've got I'm only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on track at the moment. 2 Daytona prototypes and 4 GT cars. The blue are the GTE and the purple are the GT3s. And it's Adam Bath, and it's in the commentary box, and it's also Brad Clank, and it's Sam Fitzpatrick with you as well on this Sunday night.
Barbosa now 35 seconds clear of Jack Dolmage. I'm sure you'll recall me saying it was 3 minutes at one point. So an extra pit stop has really set them back. Admittedly, it seems as though, I mean, to be fair, Dolmage has done a fantastic job, but Barbosa and Barbosa's teammate, which was Malero, who started out the race. Those two very quick. Daniel Day just struggling a little bit, as we were talking about earlier on. Very experienced oval racing. Whilst he did have decent pace, was only a couple of seconds slower than his teammates. Just did make a few mistakes, and Barbosa into that car. And might see Dye back in there later on. They has now just disconnected from the session, so that could be the end of his day. But put a little bit of pressure now on the RLB racing team, and can't afford to make too many more mistakes, otherwise the GTSL team will certainly take advantage of it.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to make it interesting heading into the closing third of the race. It's just a 35-second gap for the race lead now, so it's definitely closed things up. And we've got the 2 GTE cars on the same lap as well. Battle for that class. So it's not all over. We've seen plenty of cars have adventures during the race. So it's currently a minute 26 or so that gap, I believe. But that can disappear pretty quickly, as we've seen.
Looking here at Ryan Sharp, I am not too sure if it's the same Ryan Sharp that raced in the World Touring Car Championship in 2006. Those of you that raced on Race 07 or race the World Touring Car game before that will have been familiar with Ryan Sharp and the Honda Accord. Ryan Sharp from Newton Hill in Scotland. If that is him, hopefully it is.
He is from UKNI, the only driver in the field from UKNI.
Right.
So, could be.
There you go.
Perhaps someone from the Ice Dragons racing team could let us know if that's the case.
Yeah, he got into the car fairly recently, taking over from, as I scroll back through, the...
Aaron Mathieu.
There you go, thank you. Thank you so much. I was scrolling through the event viewer, which doesn't really help me at this moment in time. But yeah, he's now in the car for the final 2 and a bit hours of the race. And he's leading the GTE category as well. And he's leading it by as as we were saying, as Brad was saying, by 9 seconds. Pogo isn't too far away from him, at least what it says on here anyway. If I set that to overall, does that sort it out? Yes, it does. And if I put it down to interval, there you go, 9 seconds. As Ryan Sharp goes through NASCAR Turn 2, Jeff Pogo is just there, and he's coming on to the entry into NASCAR Turn 1, and he's got the race leader, Barbosa, just going by him there. So interesting to see the pace between the GT3s and the GTEs out here. Obviously, there's a few different regulations that they adhere to, but right now the gap's around 9 or 10 seconds between Ryan Sharp in the GTE and Jeff Pogo here in the Team Mandy car in P1 in the GT3 class.
Yeah, we were discussing earlier on how the characteristics of the GT3 works quite well around here. We've got a few big braking spots, so the ABS helps it out quite a bit. At the end of the straights, the GT3s are quite quick, and also through the slow speed corners, the GT3s aren't bad. So it's kind of the high speed corners where the GTs have a bit of an advantage, and there aren't too many of them around this circuit. So of all the circuits in the world, this is one where the GT3 can actually mix it with the GTE. Still, mighty effort from Team Mandy. They've been one of the least error-prone teams out on circuit today. So to mix it with a couple of other decent, GTE teams, Ice Dragons and Indy also haven't made too many mistakes today. For them to be in the middle there, in a Team Mandy sandwich, is a good effort. By the way, Greg McConey, I mean, if they're still watching the stream, what lets us know what the state of your car is, because they've been in the pits now for a long time, and they promised us that's after the 70 minutes of repairs that they'd be coming back out onto circuit, but unfortunately we still haven't seen them. I think they're still in the session. They've stuck by it so far, and just looking for one of the Coney judges. Unfortunately, they both disconnected from the session, though, Greg and Jeffrey McConey, so not too promising signs for them to get back out onto circuit.
Yeah, from a little understanding of the overlay we've got here, if it says out, I think they have exited the sim. I think if it's laps down and they've got a pit next to the name, I think they are still in there somewhere. So that might help. But hopefully they do, reappear in the final hour and 54 minutes as Charles Barbosa goes past the GTE leader and into turn 1, taking it the normal way this time. There's probably a bit more risk involved of taking it the normal way, because there is that concrete wall on the inside, and Barbosa has already used his fast repair, so if he does hit it, that inside wall, and picks up some terminal damage, he won't be able to use it. He'll be done for the evening, so there is that hanging over them. And of course, drivers in the real world, they don't have fast repairs, so that is a luxury that's a luxury of the iRacing world, really, as the RLB car goes back onto the oval.
And for an event like this, the fast repair really is worth it. I mean, 6 hours, it's a long amount of time. Daytona, opportunity to hit the wall. It's really rubbish when you get 10 minutes into a race and you get a crash. I mean, I would say special events, keep it so that you don't have any fast repairs. I would say that. And for VLN, I don't know if they have fast repairs anymore. Brad, you're probably the most clued up on this, seeing that you took part in a VLN race most recently. But I know that they used to have one, and people were outraged when they had a fast repair. But then for the 24 hours of Nürburgring, they didn't have one, which seems a bit backwards, to be honest.
Yeah.
So do they have a fast repair now?
As a purist, I would prefer them not to have one, but the VLN still does have a fast repair.
Okay. I mean, the issue with that, for myself at least, is that when you're fighting with another car, tooth and nail, and then they go bin it, and then they still appear in front of you a few laps later, that's quite frustrating when that happens.
Yeah, I do understand, they want participation, and I guess VLN is a good way for people to get experience before potentially doing the 24. But yeah, I don't know. It's just that track really attracts people who relish the challenge of taking on that track. So I think having the fast repair kind of takes away from that a little bit. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe they'll change it next year if enough people speak about it on the forums, etc. But yeah, I enjoy the VLN. The most recent one I did was the 6 hour in the Porsche Cup class with a teammate of mine, and we ended up third. We got a podium in
Oh,
that one,
nice
so
one.
that one ended up going okay. Podium in class. So
Is the TCR car in that series yet?
it will be next year.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, right.
And so the Kia will be replaced by the TCR, and
Oh.
there's some guys who organise what they call the Winter VLN,
Oh yeah, I've heard about this.
a
Yeah.
series which starts soon, and they are running that series with the TCR. I think it got completely filled out with entries within 24 or 48 hours of them putting
Oh, well, there goes me about to say I might have a look at that, but
You could join a team.
Well,
I'm sure they'll be looking out for someone.
there may be teams still looking for drivers, but I'm pretty sure all the slots available for the event have been filled. So I was actually sort of thinking about getting involved myself, potentially in the TCR class. But anyway, not to be. But yeah, it'll be a tough choice next year to whether I want to drive the Porsche or the Audi around there, because that Porsche Cup car and that track is a fabulous combination. It's one of the most challenging cars to drive on the service, and then you put it on that track, and yeah, it really demands your focus and attention, that's for sure.
So next year, then I guess we're going to get the GT4 as well. So GT3, GT4, Porsche Cup, TCR. I don't know if that might be the combination. I guess a few of those cars are quite similar to one another, so you might not need, for example, the Porsche Cup if the GT4 is around. But I mean, we're getting to the point now where I think the real life 24 hours has 12 classes, something like that, or maybe even more than that. Of course, we kind of need 120 cars around now. They're going to make something like that work. But for VLN, I mean, we could easily have 5 good classes which mimic real life.
Yeah, they just have to expand that current limitation of having 7 cars to make that work on iRacing. So, but yeah, the real world 24 has over 20 classes.
Oh wow!
How they classify some of the vehicles, but there's only some of them only have a handful of entries in them, 2 or 3 entries in them. But the bigger classes, obviously SP9 being the main one, vying for the outright event. But yeah, that GT4 came and should be a good addition to the service when it comes. I'm hoping that coming will signal the possibility of an LMP3 car in future, because the Michelin series, which that TCR and the GT4 will become multi-class. It's based on a real-world Michelin series, which also features the LMP3. So hopefully they can fill that field out, and that will be interesting. Make those events quite good. Could spice up the special event roster a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Stephen Brown just having a moment in the Porsche there. He's not been in the car too long. Daniel Holland did a really long stint at the start of the race in that car. But, last lap was a 46.7, as you can see on screen there. So a little bit off the pace, considering we're in the cooler track temps now compared to the best lap that was set earlier.
When we did it's a race that has many tales to it. When me, Alex Simpson, and Andrew Woodhouse did this Le Mans 24 Hours a couple of years ago, this was when the Ferrari GTE and the Ford GT GTE both came out, and the split we were put in had no HPDs or prototypes whatsoever. It was just literally full of GTE cars. So it made for a bit of a chaotic start. I was in the car for the first stint, and I think I made it to about an hour and 45 minutes before I eventually binned it going into Indianapolis. Tell you what, I wish we had a fast repair then to have bailed us out. That was the same race I was telling you about at the beginning of the stream, where the car was just so slow in a straight line afterwards. All it needed was someone to sit on the rear wing and it would be fine. But alas, we didn't have that. Yeah, so from the moral of this story is fast repairs please, and put more cars in, put more classes in. Tell you what, the Dubai 24 hours, I watch that at the start of every year. That's usually in about mid-January time. It's just before the WRC starts usually, so it's like the first taste of motorsport of the year. And if we get GT4 class added to iRacing, then we pretty much have got all the classes in that competition fulfilled as well, because that's got TCR cars in it too. So get the Dubai Autodrome on iRacing.
I mean, yeah, have a Middle East tour, Bahrain, Dubai,
Qatar,
and Qatar. Yeah, of course.
Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi. Yeah. I'm not sure on the others. I mean, Azerbaijan is near enough. Sochi. Yeah. I mean, this really isn't Middle East, to be honest, right now. I mean, we're going quite north, but I mean, I'm sure you may as well go over there. I mean, go to Istanbul.
Sepang. Oh no, that's far east.
Yeah, that's really far away, to be honest.
I was trying to remember GP2 Asia. I was trying to remember all the tracks they went to in that series.
Yeah, Sepang's a great track. I've been fortunate enough to drive that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I love that track. I think that's probably Tilke's best tracks.
Work.
Unfortunately, has been removed from the Formula One calendar for now, at least. And also the other track of his, which was quite good, Istanbul, which we just mentioned, no longer on the circuit, the calendar either. So I think, I mean, Coda's not too bad, but yeah, I think I preferred Istanbul and definitely Sepang. It provides great racing, not just for 4 wheels, but 2 wheels as well.
I mean, you think about how many fans iRacing would get if they scanned Istanbul. I mean, people would absolutely love them for that. That'd get them a few brownie points.
Thought I heard a car off then for a second. I was just having a look. I was having a look through GP2A just to see what tracks they went to. They went to Dubai. They went to Sentul International Circuit, which is in Indonesia. I haven't driven that one, I must admit. Oh, not on any game, to be fair. Sepang, as we mentioned, Bahrain, Dubai. Any other ones that sprung out? Of course, Shanghai. The Tilke circuit then. So he redid the opening bit at Nürburgring, and he also redid Hockenheim in 2002 as well. He did Sepang. That came on the calendar in '99. His next work after that was Bahrain and Shanghai in 2004, then Istanbul Park in 2005. Last time I saw that, the last time I saw that circuit in any action was the World Rallycross Championship a couple of years ago. I don't think it's on the calendar there anymore. And then 2008, we had Valencia and Singapore. Valencia not on the calendar anymore. There's quite a few pictures if you do a quick Google search on Google Images of what the circuit looks like now, since it's passed the calendar in 2012. 2009, of course, Abu Dhabi. 2010, you had Korea. That's not on the calendar anymore. Neither is India, which made its debut on the F1 circuit in 2011. And then, of course, you got Kota in 2012. And then 2013, was there one on the calendar? I don't even know there was a new addition on the calendar that year. And then, 2014 saw the arrival of Russia.
And of course, he's designing the new Rio circuit, which will be the Brazilian Grand Prix from 2021 onwards. It's expected.
Vietnam next year, yeah, as well.
He's also done the Kimi Ring, which is pretty much completely ready now. And also, he's done another, it might be another Russian one, actually.
Moscow Ring.
Moscow Ring, there you go. Yeah, so he's been busy. I don't know if he goes to all these places, or whether he just,
sketches
you know,
one bit of
Yeah,
paper.
as an etch a sketch.
them over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What circuit could this be in? Yeah. What country could this track be in? Like when he sits in bed at night designing tracks.
He's just got a big room with a Skeletric set.
There was a this is taking you back to when I was a kid, which was not too long ago. This is back in about 2003. I picked up a F1 preview magazine for the 2003 F1 season, and they had Skeletric guides for every single circuit on the F1 calendar in the magazine. I think it was F1 Racing at the time. So that provided endless fun before the advent of Xbox 360s and whatnot as a kid back then.
I mean, you didn't have the annoying 1.5 mile long Tilka straights back then, so you could probably stop it in your living room.
Yeah.
Quite simply. I mean, Silverstone. That Silverstone, I guess, was a superb shape of all those corners, all kind of 180-degree corners. So yeah, it's I think that was quite good.
Yeah, there were a few good tracks. Sepang was one of them as well in
Yeah.
2003. Back when there was only 16 races on the calendar. I think F1 put in that press conference that they want to have as many as 25 or something in the future. And NASCAR is 36, and they're pretty much one every week, barring like Easter and Labor Day or whatever. So it's going to quickly become something like that. There's been a few offs, in fact, since we had a trip down memory lane here. This is Stephen Brown, first of all. We were talking to his co-driver Lawrence earlier. This is on the exit of the on the entry onto the banking, exit of the infield. He's very fortunate that there's so much dimming. Mind the splitter, man, as he gets back onto the circuit.
That was an aggressive rejoin.
And this is Timo Schwack going into the bus stop. A little bit of grass and a little bit of spinning on the exit of the bus stop chicane. Good spin turn though. That's good.
I mean, I'm not sure if you actually had to do the 270 degrees there. I think the just turning left was quite possible. But no, it was a nice spin turn. And Timo actually must have got in that car quite recently, I guess, because I believe before that was Drew Becker, who was trying to make up some laps for them, but a little bit of damage that you can see on that car. Of course, we've said this a couple of times during the broadcast, but fingers crossed, next season, few weeks' time, we'll get the new damaged model, and if you feel like you can basically just go fit a new bonnet, a new rear wing, a new whatever to your car in these endurance races, and you get it completely fixed and you have no overhang whatsoever, rather than the current iRacing system.
Very similar, that rear wing damage, to the one we had. Now you can see why I said we just needed someone to sit on that that right rear corner of the rear wing. It's incredible how quick an iRacing season goes, I must admit. I was at the Sim Racing Expo at the end of August, and a couple of days later I was sat patiently waiting a couple of days as it turned out for the new iRacing build and the new TCR to come out, and here we are nearly 12 weeks later, and we're now awaiting the next build of iRacing and what it's going to deliver there. Is there any tracks there in the pipeline at all? This is just me reaching out at all. Do we know if there's going to be any potential new additions
I don't know
Instead?
any circuits they're working on, to be honest, at the moment.
They haven't confirmed anything for the build yet, but I believe there's an Australian track coming with the supercars. Perhaps not
Ooh.
straight away in the build, but there should be another one coming.
Are the supercars
Um,
actually definitely coming this season?
Yeah, they've already said that that's definitely
awesome.
happening. I kind of keep track of the iRacing Downshift podcast, and they've already said it on there. Definitely, it's already been in development for 3 to 4 months. Those cars, so they've been working on them for a long time.
If they said that a supercars track was gonna come on iRacing, obviously excluding the street circuits, I guess at Townsville and Surfers Paradise in Adelaide, what one would you most want to be on? Simmons Plains is all right, isn't it? Winton, Queensland,
Sandown?
Sandown.
I haven't seen photos. I haven't seen photos of it, but I believe there's been a shot circulating of a car scanning the bend. The new
track, yeah, the Bends.
South Australia, yeah. So I'm hoping that will come, but there hasn't been any word from iRacing about that yet. But I know there's another short track oval that was photographed, released very recently of iRacing Beagle at another short track oval that was being scanned. Can't remember the name of it at the moment, but and they already confirmed there's another off-road track on the way, and I believe another dirt oval. So there's a few on the way, but on the road side, nothing actually confirmed yet. But yeah, it would make sense that there would be another Australian track coming with the supercars to sort of reinvigorate that series, and the fact that they've got the official esports competition with supercars now, which is probably about halfway through that series. Josh Rogers, unsurprisingly, sort of doing very well in that.
Yeah, his popularity is huge. I saw that first at the Expo, and just recently as well, since I followed him on social media. One track that I thought was on the rise when I first started watching a lot of the motorsport from down under was the Highlands Motorsport Park in New Zealand. I thought that one was quite good.
Yeah, it would be a good addition. Not sure. There's several good tracks over there.
Auckland is class. I love that track.
So yeah, I've driven some virtual laps of Highlands on. There's a nice mod of that available on one of the other simulators, but Pukekohe would be fun. It's a fun little track. There's a great track at Taupo, Lake Taupo, over there. So yeah, New Zealand has quite a few tracks that would be a good addition. I've driven the track outside Christchurch, the Ruapehu Park, which is on Project Cars. Drove that in 2009 or 2010.
Yeah,
quite a while ago. But yeah, that was a fun track. So yeah, there's plenty of options over in New Zealand from them to get to, but yeah, it's quite costly to get all the way down here and get that scanning happening. Not sure if they'd bring someone over or try and use equipment or someone over here that's capable and just bring a couple of staff over to help.
Did see
Not sure how that process would work.
Yeah, I did see that Qantas had chartered the first ever direct flight.
Yes, yeah.
From, is it America to Australia?
I think
New York to.
Yeah.
New York to. Was it to Sydney?
Yeah. Which way would they go? They'd probably go over. They'd probably go over land, wouldn't they, instead of going all the way over the Pacific? I guess.
For America?
Yeah.
I mean, can you go over land?
I just think because if there's a problem with the plane, it'd be better to fly over the.
I don't think there's enough fuel.
When you're flying to and from Australia, there's only really one option.
Yeah.
That's to spend a lot of time over the water.
Right.
I think they
Yeah.
did London to Perth though, which of course is West Coast, but I
Yeah,
don't
that
think
one's-
they've quite got the East Coast yet. But
Yeah.
that's certainly
This
something
isn't
up
just
there.
me having a fear of flying and think if there's a problem with the engine and you're flying over the Pacific, you're stuffed. But yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely that's definitely a thought that has dawned on me when I've been flying over there. Anyway,
I mean,
not
to
much
be
you can
fair,
do
it's
about
going to be. I realise water is quite hard when you're flying at it at hundreds of miles an hour, but I mean, it's probably less hard than say rocks.
yeah. Don't worry, Adam. Your death will be instantaneous if you were to hit it. Not that we're putting people off flying or anything, and not that I have a fear of flying either. I've been to the Sim Expo for the last 4 years, and Alex Simpson has not had to peel me off the wall on a Ryanair flight. God help us.
I mean, unlike all the other passengers.
Yeah, 1.5 hours to go here at Daytona International Speedway. This is the Sim Racers for Mental Health charity event at the Daytona International Speedway. Barbosa continues to lead. We haven't really talked about him really, but it's mainly because of this. And it's a 3-second gap between Chase, Barry and Stephen Brown. 2 different classes, GT3 and GTE, but right now this is the closest battle we've got on circuit. And we don't have any fancy F1 graphics telling us when Stephen's going to be within striking distance, but over the last few laps he has been putting in some decent times. He was a tenth of a second quicker than Barry on that last lap.
Yeah, and Barry's dropped now 2 minutes off Ryan Sharp. I think that's just the pit stops, to be fair. I don't think he's lost all that time because he was 8 seconds behind previously, but certainly Sharp pulling away quite significantly, and Brown catching up. I think Brown and Sharp have been faster, or I should say Ice Dragons and Indy Autosport have been a bit faster than the Team Mandy car, but Team Mandy have just been mega consistent. You can see that's a scratch on the entirety of that Mercedes, so can be a bullet down the straights right now. And actually, just looking at the gap down that straight, it seemed as though Barry was pulling away at the end of that straight quite significantly. So when he does catch up Brown, which looks inevitable right now, it's not going to be easy for him to actually get ahead.
Yeah, it's only really this infield section where the GTE car has a noticeable advantage, because once I get onto that banking, the GT3 car can pretty much hold its own against the GTE.
Just people asking on the chat, we're going to be doing post-race interviews. Well, this race is scheduled to finish at 1:45 UK time, so I reckon we could be off air by 2. We should be able to squeeze some post-race interviews in after that. Jack Dolmage is into the pit lane. Here he comes, the second place Daytona prototype. And in he comes. Let's see if we're going to do a driver change at all.
I think that gap was around the 40-second mark still before he came in. So those two teams have been trading similar lap times just while those drivers have been in the car.
Away he goes. That was a 24.5 second stop. No driver change either. He's back onto the circuit. Make sure he doesn't hit the wall here, which can happen. And away he goes, back out onto the circuit. Remains in second. He is now 1 minute and 15 seconds away from Barbosa. Barry is.
I guess we.
Sorry, Sam. Go away. Go ahead. Sorry. Jeez.
I was just going to say how we're kind of getting close enough to the end now where we can predict how many stops the drivers have still got to make. Because when you start a 6-hour race, I think oh well, how many stops is this guy going to do? I think even if you're driving it, you've got to be very flexible. You could have a bit of damage, which means you have to pit 10 minutes early, and all of a sudden you're brilliant plan fails, isn't it? They're saying a plan works until first contact with the enemy or something like that. So very much that for these guys. So we can kind of think how many more stops we've got. So the GTEs can go, I think we saw earlier on, about 55 minutes. The GT3s, similar distance, maybe a couple of minutes longer. And then the DPs go about 45 minutes. So if you're a DP right now, or if you're any of the classes, you've got one more stop to go if you have to pit now. Or one more stop after the one that you're about to make. 2 more stops from here is my point.
Yeah, it can be done. Just depends where these guys are currently at in their cycle and what they've been doing tyre-wise. So we've seen some cars doubling tyres, others not. So it just depends if they want to sort of get on that cycle for the pit window towards the end of the race, you know, like now, early on, and then just calculate that to the end and run it like that, or if they just want to keep running their normal cycle and do a shorter splash towards the end.
I guess this version of Daytona is probably a bit easier on the tyres than the present day version, with I think this version of Daytona being scanned a couple of years ago after it had just been repaved.
Well, we were saying earlier on how this road section is actually the 2007 road section. They didn't rescan it.
Yeah.
So it's just the oval, which is a bit newer. But yeah, you're absolutely right about the tyre wear.
Chase Barry blinking a little bit as he goes back onto the bank, and the gap's stretched out a little bit now. It was 3 seconds. It's now 8 seconds between the GT and the GT3. Let's check in on our leader. We haven't recently. Here he is, Barbosa, continuing. Did a 39.24 on that last lap. And as he goes through the bus stop chicane, things are going relatively well for him, as it looks like there's been a change there. HH Racing, Chad McCoz is in the car there now. Don't know how long ago the change was for that, but either way, he's there now. There he is. No, that's not him. There he is. Up in 6th. And it looks like Stephen Brown is come into the pits. This is his first pit stop since taking over in the car from Lawrence earlier. So the Indy Autosport Petit Road Porsche trundles down the pit lane now, and he will get the necessary service underway.
He won't be far ahead of Chad once he comes out of the pits, actually, will he? I didn't realise they were so close. I thought Indy Autosport were a little bit further up the road, to be honest, but Chad McCosk, as Derek Holland gets back into the car. Derek didn't have a good start today. We actually had a standing start, Adam.
Wow.
Before you didn't see that. Derek managed to jump the starts. Got a stop and hold penalty, which wasn't a good start. He managed to get back to the lead, actually, quite soon. And then hasn't been superb for them since then, just dropped back a little bit, and they're down to 3rd place now. So Chad McCoss. Whenever I see Chad's name, I'm thinking of Sporkle and learning all the African countries. Chad, fortunately, one of the more memorable ones, because let's face it, it's Chad, and it's also a very large country. But they are up into 2nd place now. Derek Holland down into 3rd. One more pit stop for him.
Love a good Sporkle quiz. Must admit. Yeah, Derek back on the track. Which goes against what Lawrence was telling us. I think he told us that Stephen was in the car to the end of the race. So, yeah, Derek is now in for the duration you'd expect. Just under an hour and a half to go. An hour and 23 minutes still to run here. And yeah, standing start at Daytona, don't worry. I think they did that at the Sim Racing Expo as well, which caught us by surprise caught us by surprise there. In fact, that wasn't the most controversial start of the whole weekend. Oh, Derek! As he
Cold tyres.
yeah. Oh, there you go. Get on the brakes. That's a good job of saving that there. As he gets back going again. I guess, I guess, Brad, when you go off the infield section and then get on the brakes, the tyres, especially on an outlap, would have probably cooled back down again by then.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the... Just check what that stationary time was, whether they actually took tyres in that stop or not. It was a 32-second stop, so it's a good chance that they did. Tyres on these cars take about 26, 27 seconds thereabouts. They might have been taking 2 tyres. Looking at that stationary time.
Maybe they took a little bit less fuel, so kind of evening out maybe 2 45-minute stints instead of.
Yeah, potentially.
hour
Yeah, that could be the case as well.
I mean, two
Try and get on that
tyres
schedule.
usually doesn't work great from my experience, at least. To be fair, if you got 2 tyres which, if the tyres aren't too heavily worn, then 2 tyres isn't too bad. But yeah, you're either gonna not be able to turn for the corners, or you're going to turn far too much.
It can be a pretty frequent tactic on the ovals. There's obviously one side of the car doing a majority of the work, but not a lot of road guys implement that strategy. I have seen a few drivers do it in the Rikmatech series that we cover here on Apex as well. Not sure if that's because some of those guys are from an oval background, or there's just the current track combinations they've been running, but there's been quite a few times where they've just taken, you know, left-hand tyres. So it throws a bit of a different strategy into the mix.
Yeah, certainly.
Didn't look like that Derek changed tyres in that one, so I can understand how he was struggling a little bit for grip when he got back out onto the circuit. He currently lies in 6th place overall, 13 seconds away from Chad, because in the HH Racing BMW. Love that line. That's a proper Alex Simpson line right there. As he goes into turn 1 as wide as literally possible you can, as far as possible you can go into that first corner there by Derek.
I don't think anyone's solved actually how he meant to do that corner. I recall, I think we did World GT together actually, Adam, for the Daytona round, and I think half the field spun at turn 1 just on the brakes. I mean, it was absolutely chaotic. How every lap we pretty much had a new driver losing it down there.
Well, it's a bit like the first braking point on the Top Gear test track, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
You could either go really nice and tight on the inside, or you can do the racing drivers line, as I think they called it, where you go really, really wide and then cut in. Except here at Daytona, we don't go off towards Chicago at that point. Oh, that would be that'd be a good track for iRacing. Sorry.
So, it is one of those corners which it's just hard because you want to get on the brakes quite early there, but you need to still be turning the car. So it's kind of at Le Mans, you kind of have that a little bit at the end of Mulsanne for the Mulsanne corner in GTE and the prototype cars there. Sort of that kink there. You see some people try to square it off and sort of brake in a straight line towards the outside of the corner. Other people sort of take it more gently and have the steering more open and braking, not as in a straight line. But yeah, there's a few corners around like that where it's quite tricky.
It's pretty tough, yeah. Bahrain's like that, isn't it? You got the two left-handers braking while you're trying to brake at the same time. Whereas here, braking for the pit lane is Barbosa. He's trundling down the pits now. He is the pit box right at the end. Not that camera, this camera. And let's see how long he has stopped for here. On his marks, hits them, up on the jacks. So he's going to get some tyres changed. And we'll see how long this stop is. He's got a 1 minute and 10 second advantage over, and it's Eric Malero that's going to get back behind the wheel. Driver change and tyres getting changed here.
So,
Yeah,
of course,
it's like
one
full
more,
service.
one more stop to do after this for these guys. So I guess Malero will probably stay into the end of the race. They did have a chat with us earlier on, I believe. I think it was Eric actually who popped out. Still no one has crashed on pit exit. I am disappointed. Although it is difficult for us to pick up on that as Malero almost cuts the white line. We were talking about this earlier on, but that was right on the limit of going over the white line. But yeah, no one's crashed on pit exit yet, which I mean would take this these gyros up to a new level. I mean, whenever you watch the Daytona 24 Hours on the iRacing Esports Network, also subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network, of course. Whenever you watch that, you always see some absolute top pro gyros, and they always spin it in the wall a few times across the events. And yet these guys have not really come particularly close, to be fair, so far. So congrats to them.
Although we have had a few drivers hit the other side of that wall.
Yes,
So,
that is true.
Yes, that same wall is still claiming some victims, just the other side. But no such trouble for Eric Malero. His stint in the car earlier on was reasonably uneventful compared to some of the other stints we've seen from drivers out there tonight. He's back in the car and pretty much straight back into his rhythm from the looks of it.
This is actually quite close now for the lead in the DP. So this is, if I think when Adam came here for the first time, which was about an hour and a half ago, the gap was over 3 minutes. It's down to 20 seconds now. Also, they both have one more pit stop to make, I believe, because Jack Dolmage pitted 7 laps ago, so that is about 12 minutes ago. So he literally would have pitted just, I mean, he might have to do some fuel saving, but he should be able to make it to the end of the race with one more pit stop. So this is like fully legit, the 20 seconds between them.
Yeah, it was about 40 seconds not that long ago. So Dolmy just been reeling off some pretty consistent laps in that car. And just the way the strategy is playing out, it's just bringing them closer together, which is good. Have a genuine fight through the last hour for the outright race lead, which should be good. And just looking at the GTE gaps as well, those two cars, second and third in that class, they're still not that far apart from each other, the way that strategy plays out. So almost 5 hours in and there's still some unknowns, which is good.
Not every day that you see 2 countries fighting over second and third place out there. Chad and Holland going at war.
Oh.
I doubt that has ever been a war there. But yeah.
I don't know whether we've had two cities fight each other yet. In Bath and I don't know if any other people have stepped into the commentary box with names after towns or cities in the past that we can link to that. Is Fitzpatrick a place?
I'm racking my brains.
I don't think there's a place called Simpson or Woodhouse out there in the world, but if there is, do let us know. That's interesting, but yeah, that is very good. I must admit, the battle between Chad and Holland, that is quite good. However, they have got a. Sorry, Brad. Yeah, go away. Go ahead with it.
I was just going to say that they definitely need some long-range weaponry, if that was the case.
Well, the chase is on to catch Chase, Barry, in in the GT3 car that's ahead of both of them. He's about half a minute, I think, ahead of them. Or is that, I think it actually might be 51 seconds. But yeah, that is the state of play regarding that. Team Mandy still doing well, 4th place overall, leading the Pro-Am category, and Eric Malero puts in a new personal best, 138.128. At least that might be his personal best since I've been in the session anyway. I'm not too sure how the iRacing overlay that we've got here works things out, but
No, that is his fastest lap of the race. And
There
the
you go.
one before that as well was, I think, his fastest lap of the race. So he is flying, safe to say.
Yeah, it was a purple sector in sector 1 on that lap too, so definitely pushing.
just over an hour to go then in the Sim Racers for Mental Health charity event here at Daytona International Speedway on Apex Racing TV. Adam Bath, Sam Fitzpatrick and Brad Klenk in the commentary box tonight. Have you guys been at it since the start of the race?
Oh, yes.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, this is been a long one.
We're here for the long haul.
You're getting your money's
Absolutely.
worth. Yeah. I guess right now, Brad, it must be getting warm in Australia with it being in November.
Yeah, it's the summer's over here just getting longer and longer, and unfortunately that brings the bushfire season with it, which has been quite damaging and crazy already this year. We're only just heading into we're not even in summer yet, and it's already been severe fires and houses getting burnt down and things quite near to here, actually, not very far from me where I am. But yeah, it's my parents almost had to evacuate their place just this week just gone as well. Separate fires like 5 hours away from where I am. So yeah, it's quite warm and pretty severe drought conditions across most of the country. So water to fight those fires in some places is even problematic. The planes and helicopters that get deployed to do that, when there's a lot of water around, they'll go and pick up water from a dam on a property and use that, but the dams are empty, so they can't go and do that. So yeah, it's proving to be quite a big issue at the moment. A lot of areas on very strict water restrictions, and some towns have run out of water and having water trucked in because their town supply is gone. So yeah, hopefully some of those places get some decent rain over the summer, but the forecast at the moment is for lots of hot weather and more fires, unfortunately, for big sections of the country. But yeah, it was about 6:30 when we kicked off the broadcast in the morning.
All right.
So it wasn't too warm then, but yeah, it's
getting quite hot.
Definitely a bit warmer now.
Yeah, I think it wasn't too warm here this year in the UK during the summer, but last year we were getting told we were getting hose pipe bans and whatnot. But I guess it's virtually tip of the iceberg if that is a pun, compared to what is going on in Australia right now.
Yeah, I guess it's not the only country being affected by that. I mean, we've seen, the crazy fires in California as well. So those issues just seem to be spreading to bigger areas, unfortunately. But yeah, it gets pretty warm here. I've been to a few other places that get quite warm. Just trying to think what the hottest place. It's a different. Probably Abu Dhabi's quite warm. When I was there, that was pretty hot. Not as humid, so it's a different heat. It's not as quite as uncomfortable. Having said that, I did go to I did go there and then drive a car around the Yas Marina circuit on a 40-degree day, and that was rather warm. So,
Dear.
anyway.
Was it monsoon season when you went over to Sepang?
It was when I went to Sepang. It was July, I think it was. I went there, so I don't think that's a bit early in the year for monsoon season. But there was some rain threatening. Fortunately, it didn't rain on the day that I spent driving there, but was late in the afternoon. Looked like there was going to be a bit of a storm, but fortunately it held off until after we finished driving, which was good. I mean, driving in the rain is good fun, but if you're driving a track for the first time, I think it's better to experience it in the dry, so you can try and find the limit.
Incredible. Yeah. Can't really relate in terms of where I've been. Rodrigo Barbosa might not be too far away from joining us for a quick chat here in the interview room. I think Sam is trying to give him the Discord deets as Malero is co-driver, goes for a little bit of a slide. Yeah, it'd be great to hear from him.
But the humidity at Sepang was the big thing. Just trying to keep hydrated throughout the day, jumping in and out. I drove 3 different cars at that event. It was a Michelin event. So I drove a Renault Clio Cup car, a Formula 4, and a R1 spec Citroen rally car. They got a dirt track just outside the circuit as well for rally driver training. So yeah, it was pretty warm jumping in and out of the cars all day in that humidity.
Yeah.
Being so close to the equator. But yeah, great experience and great track. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Fortunately, it was just a couple of weeks after Earl Bamber had won Le Mans, and he turned up at the event and helped us with some of the
Nice.
driver training, which was great. And got to spend the day having a chat to him, and went out that night, had dinner with all the people from the event, and he sat at the table that I was at and got to pretty much chew his ear off for about 3 hours about all things WEC at the time, so that was great.
I was gonna say, I used to watch the Malaysian Grand Prix loads, and I think Justin Wilson had to be rushed off to hospital after the 2003 race there because of the insane humidity. And Sam, I think we do have a driver waiting to chat to us, and it's a driver that you were hoping that we'd be able to hear from before the end. It's Jeff McConey, and he's in the interview room ready to talk to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic to have Jeff back once again. Unfortunately, after hoping that we'd see you back out on circuit, we've heard that car's not quite drivable yet. Unfortunately, after all the repairs.
Yeah, it was about an hour's worth of repairs. Everything got done. Greg jumped in the car and he shot me a text right away. He goes, "This thing is not drivable. I can't even get it out of pit lane." So I got back. I said, "Well, I'll give it a try." Jumped in, and it's just the entire from about, if you're looking at the wheel like it's a clock, from about 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock is just a complete dead zone. Nothing happens with the wheel. So it's just the whole front end is destroyed. I imagine hitting that hill just tore the front end out of it when I hit it in turn 1, so oh well.
I mean, it was still a good effort whilst it lasted. I mean, leading the race, of course, earlier on, and certainly whilst you were in the event, it was going very successfully. And when you were driving out there, I mean, you were getting into a real groove before the incident.
Yeah, I mean, my best lap time was a 1:44.6 or something like that, if I recall correctly. And at the time, that was the fastest car. I was the fastest car on track because we were off cycle with pits and all that. But it was still fun hearing the crew chief say, "All right, fastest car out there, keep it going." And I guess just a little too much speed going into turn 1 there. So
Yeah, it seems so. But I guess Daytona 24 hours. This could be quite good preparation for you guys.
Yeah, definitely for the Daytona 24. Maybe we'll jump in a prototype of some sort if we decide to make a big jump up. But either way, it was so much fun. And this race isn't about competition or finishing position. It's all about raising money for charity and doing great work like Sim Races for Mental Health always does. So they're a great group. I'm happy that we could participate. Greg would say the same thing, and it's an honor to participate and help out in a cause like this. So to even have raced, I think we were at like 90 laps. To run 90 laps perfectly clean is well worth it.
Yeah, we'll say an absolutely awesome effort from you guys, and I guess maybe take part in more of these mental health awareness races in the future, seeing that they're hosted monthly.
Absolutely, it's one of my favorite series to participate in. I mentioned earlier I did the Tour Mod race at South Boston. I led that for a couple laps and had a blast doing it. So it's a great organization. So it's always a lot of fun being involved in them.
Absolutely. Well, it's been great to chat to you all race long, Jeff. Is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to before we say goodbye?
Well, I guess before I go for the night, the Bottled Up podcast covers NASCAR, racing, all sorts of it. It's available anywhere you get your podcasts. It's on Twitter at Bottled Up Radio. Huge thank you to Greystone for helping out on the real life side and the sim side with race teams on there. They're huge help. And I guess my brother Greg, because he kept the car clean. I wish I could have done as good a job as him, but it's always fun racing with them. We give each other a lot of grief over who's the better driver, but it's all in good fun. So thank you to him, and thank you to you guys for putting on such a great broadcast. 6 hours is a long time, and you guys have been doing a fantastic job the entire time.
Oh, thank you very much, and hopefully we see you and your brother on Apex Racing TV very soon.
All right, that sounds great to me. You guys have a good night.
Awesome.
Cheers, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
Good night.
So yes, that was Jeff McConey for McConey Motorsports, who unfortunately are out of the race and have been out of the race for a while now. But yeah, of course, that damage unfixable soonly. And this is why we need the new damage model. And I've said this about 20 times already, but hopefully that will not be an issue in just a few months' time. We might have another interview. I think just waiting for Barbossa's teammate maybe to get back into the session. But just on the topic of RLB racing, I mean, they're still leading well. Currently 20 seconds ahead. Lost a little bit of time in that last lap, but that gap to Dolmage is really quite level at the moment. And I mean, one mistake in the next hour and it could be decisive.
Close battle here. It's
Yeah.
It's not for any position or anything. It's just Derek Holland and Ryan Sharp here. I think it's Holland's just getting one of his laps back.
Yeah, Holland's had pretty good pace since he got back in. Last lap was a 43.6, only a tenth off the quickest lap for that car. So that car's back on pace, which is good. 26 seconds behind Mikos. So he's still got something to play for there. Try and reel that gap in the last hour.
Into the final hour as well. That's worth mentioning. We've got less than an hour to go in this 6-hour enduro round Daytona International Speedway. Got two more drivers waiting to speak to us in the interview room. It is Rodrigo Barbosa, and we've also got William Krujka waiting to speak to us as well. We'll get them in a moment. The top 6 is as follows. These are the cars that are still running. It is Eric Malera that leads the way. Then it's Jack Dolmage in second. Ryan Sharp is in third overall. He is the leader of the GTE class. And then fourth, it is Barry. He is the leader of the GT3s. Then it's Chad Mikotz in fifth overall. Then Derek Collins, the driver we're looking at. And then cars that have had issues. Greg Dell in the Enter Name Here car looks like he is done for the day. Not too sure what happened to him. In fact, might be able to shed light on that in a moment. William Krushko, who we have got in the interview room, went to speak to us. Jeff McConey, out of the race. We were just speaking to him a moment ago. And Blake Trorick in 10th overall in Daytona Prototype. Filippo Filippini in 11th place. And then, Vincenzo Raya down there in 12th. That is the state of play there. We have...
That's Dale just coming back out of the lane there.
Yeah. So enter name here is back out on the circuit. Here is a replay of what might have caused his little stay off the circuit. I don't know. Here we go. That isn't Greg Dale, by the way. I don't know why we're seeing Derek Collins' picture.
That's Derek Collins' photo still, yeah.
I think he's getting paid extra for that. There's the spin. This might be another one. The car already looks like it's a bit of a handful here. Or maybe not. Into turn 1. Everything. Oh, that's why. It's a tyre barrier.
Just on that downshift there.
Bit of a reverse.
Oh.
And a mediocre rejoin in front of Jack Dormage there.
Yeah, Dolmage probably wasn't too much of a fan of that rejoin, but anyway, they live to fight another day.
There he goes. Just going through the bus stop chicane at pedestrian pace there, I must admit. Right, let's move on to a few more interviews then, shall we? As we get towards the checkered flag here at Daytona. Next up on the list is Rodrigo Barbosa. Are we good to drag him in, Sam, for a quick word?
Yes, absolutely.
Good, let's do it then. Let's get him in. Oh, I think I might have dragged him in while he was in the while he was chatting to William. But Rodrigo, welcome to Apex Racing TV. Welcome to the interview room. What was it like out there in the race?
Thank you for having me. It was pretty rough. I mean, I don't know. Strategy's a little different right now. Eric's doing great right now. Strategy's a little just because we don't know what second place is gonna do. But everything other than that, it's smooth.
What's it race like? What's it like racing at night as well in the Daytona Prototype? Is it a bit difficult to get used to the conditions out there? What was the Daytona Prototype handling like?
Track's pretty cool, so it's pretty everything's it's pretty good, especially on new tires. It's I can do really fast laps, so looking pretty good, especially on cold track. So yeah, handling pretty good. Never ridden here in the night either way, so it's really fun.
Well, we've got just under an hour to go. Has Eric got it all under control at the front? Has he got about one more stop left to make, we think?
Yeah. He I think he's got it under control. He's doing really well. It's pretty consistent right now, handling traffic all right. So we need one more pit stop. So yeah, I hope it's pretty good. Hopefully on one pit stop at least. But yeah.
Daytona International Speedway must be a track you know reasonably well.
Yeah, I really like this track. It's pretty it's a track I really enjoy driving, and yeah, Eric does too, and Daniel did too. So yeah.
Sam, anything for Rodrigo?
Sorry.
I was just asking if our colleague Sam had anything to say to you before we let you go for the final hour, Brad.
Yeah. Just thank you to Eric and Daniel for letting me drive here. It was really fun. I hope it ends well. Knock on wood. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, no worries, Rodrigo. It's been a pleasure having you in the interview room. I must admit. So. Yeah, best of luck for the rest of the race, and see if you can bring it home.
Cool. Thank you. Have a good night.
Cheers. Thank you. That was Rodrigo Barbosa there. Great to hear from him, I must admit, Brad.
Yeah, it's obviously comes from a family with a rich motor racing heritage, so it's great that he can be involved in the event, and he's turned some really good laps out there as well. So probably not too surprising, but it's still got to get the job done when you're in the car, no matter what sort of advice and help you get off the side. You still got to do the job in the car. So it's good to see him out there, and great that that family name can be involved in the event.
Speaking of the event,
sure the other guys. Yep, sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. Yeah, I was just going to say, speaking of the event, we do have William Krushka waiting to speak to us. He was in the Sim Racers for Mental Health cart. So let's drag him in for a quick word as well while he is waiting in the interview room, and he joins us now. William, welcome to the commentary box. A shame that you're not out on the track, but great that you're with us here in the commentary box nonetheless. What have you made of the race so far?
I've learned that I need to be better at road racing.
Yeah, well, fortunately I wasn't here to see what happened, so yeah, for those that might have missed it, would you be able to shed light on that?
Well, let's just say the car wasn't stable, to be honest, from the start, so if you pushed it too much, it would slide on exit especially. And I kind of overcorrected a little bit, hit the wall, and it was pretty much too much damage to continue.
These Daytona prototypes, are they pretty tough to get a handle of? They look like they're pretty powerful going through the oval section anyway.
Honestly, I love these cars. The only issue that I had was just how loose it was, especially on exit, and then especially sometimes on entry too. But other than that, I actually really like these cars. They're honestly probably my favorite between this and the Mercedes.
Before you had your accident, then, had you been able to learn much about the car ahead of the Daytona 24 Hours? I guess in a couple of weeks or months.
Yeah. As time went on, I got more confident with the car. I could see where I could push and such.
Is there anything from the oval side that you can take across to the road racing side that you can use to your advantage, perhaps?
Honestly, I don't really know.
I guess the spatial
totally
awareness.
Different.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. It's like avoiding the wrecks, and I don't know. It's kind of a different thing because of how many turns are and such. But I guess the driver awareness, how much you can push it through the turns and such, would probably be it.
With just under an hour to go, great that you're still with us. Are you rooting for anyone at all that are still going out there between now and the end of the race?
I was looking at the battle for overall lead, how they only have 22 seconds between those two, so I'm looking at that for the rest of the race.
Great. Well, before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anyone?
Thanks for you guys for broadcasting, everyone for watching the whole 6 hours. It's actually been kind of fun, even though we haven't had a lot of drivers, but from what I've seen, we haven't had any issues or anything like that.
Great. Well, yeah, it's been great so far, and hopefully we have an exciting finish on our hands here with just under 50 minutes to go. So yeah, William, thanks for taking the time and coming to speak to us in the commentary box, and yeah, we'll let you go and enjoy the closing stages of the race.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for broadcasting.
No worries. Yeah, that's great to hear from William Krushka there. He is 8th overall out of the race some time ago, 44 laps down now. And we do have Sam Fitzpatrick back with us now. Yeah, good opportunity while we got the interviews to I completely understand.
What was I called upon?
No, I was just we were speaking to Rodrigo Barbosa, and I was wondering if you wanted to ask him any questions at all.
Hi, okay.
No,
I was just away making my list of questions I wanted to ask to Rodrigo Barbosa. Such a shame. Oh, the irony.
There you go. Oh dear. That's a shame. Is that why we were waiting? Is that why you asked us to wait a little bit?
No, earlier on.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we were waiting. I think Barbossa's teammate wanted to have a chat as well.
Oh, right, okay.
I think we kind of gave up on that one because he was sitting in the waiting area and then he left. I was waiting for him to come back. But no, it was good that we still got a chat with João Barbosa. And of course, oh, sorry, not João Barbosa. João Barbossa's son. And of course, also Eric Malero and Daniel Dye earlier on in the race. So I had a chat with all three of those drivers on potential routes to the win. But as they were saying, 21 seconds, it's maintaining 1/100th the gap on that last lap between Malero and Dormidge, so everything to play for.
Yeah, 138.61 for Eric, 138.62 for Jack Dormidge on that last lap. So very little in it, and bless me, didn't cover I didn't mute myself in time. Yeah, Dormidge was half a second quicker than Malero on that last lap. And if you were falling asleep and you were watching that in the UK, I've just woken you up with 45 minutes to go.
Thanks to everyone, by the way, who's tuned in for this event. Actually, pretty good viewing figures. I appreciate that there's not a whole lot of teams out there. Maybe there's not quite as much wheel-to-wheel action as we'd hope, but it kind of sustained around 15 viewers on the most part, and sometimes even peaking to 20. So certainly appreciate you tuning in. And of course, just a reminder, we've reminded you a few times, of course, but this event all about epilepsy awareness, and there's an opportunity to donate to a little fund that William Kushka, who we were just having a chat with, has organised, and you can donate to that in the link in the description. We'd mega appreciate it if you could spare anything that you can. By the way, Dormidge back into the pits.
Oh, right.
And he's right on the edge of fuel here. I mean, he's got 46 minutes to get to the end. And we've seen fuel go about 44 minutes. So it would be smart for him to fuel save a little bit. I mean, an extra pit stop would be a bit of a waste of time. But that's not going to help him, considering that he's the one who's got to chase after Malero.
Looks like it's
Yeah,
going to
if
be...
he keeps doing those... Sorry, if he keeps doing those 138s and low 139s, that'll be difficult to save fuel, that's for sure.
Looks like a driver swap as well, doesn't it? That is David Hall that has got into the car. Revving away.
David yet to drive yet. Their secret weapon, it seems.
For the final 45 minutes. See what he can do. He's going to rejoin just behind. That is the... that's the BMW of Chad, isn't it? In the HH racing car. There you go. Just ahead. Ryan Walker on the YouTube chat. Familiar name for people that have watched streams in the past on Apex Racing TV. João Barbosa that races in IMSA in real life, and the answer to that is yes. Yeah, I was intrigued by that, but as Brad and Sam have mentioned, that yeah, that is João Barbosa's son, and he's raced tonight on João Barbosa's iRacing account. So that was quite surreal seeing that name here on the stream. João Barbosa, one of many current and former famous racing drivers to have a crack at iRacing. Obviously, you've got all the NASCAR crew, but Rubens Barrichello, big name, and of course you've got the usual suspects, of course, in Max and Lando, haven't you? That have been on here in the past.
We also broadcast the Sim Racers World GT Series on a Wednesday evening, on European Wednesday evening, by the way, on the iRacing Esports Network, and that's pretty much half the field is real-life drivers, and there's no impetus for real-life drivers to take part. It's just quite a few drivers who have taken parts in, I believe, the Lamborghini Huracan European Champion or something is in that Kevin van der Slik. Or was it Kevin van der Slik? or maybe Kevin Van Six's teammates. I'm not quite sure, but there are plenty of real life drivers in that series. So and they're all very good as well, all very competitive. So certainly very transitional skills.
Yeah, there's quite a few well-known drivers on the service using it frequently now. I've been in sessions or raced with quite a few of them as well. There's like current blunt pane drivers like Calvin Van der Linde. He's been on the service quite a bit, and obviously the Aussie supercar drivers are on quite frequently. Shane Van Gisbergen spends quite a bit of time on it. He actually just jumps on and he hosts quite a few random fun events. One of my most fun races is actually just some random lobby he had up of the Charlotte Roval, actually. And we were all running around there in MX-5s. Just fun. Just some crazy racing. But yeah, he's often on there and hosting just some fun events. So it's good to see. Obviously Scott McLaughlin, current series leader and champion as well. He's seen on there pretty often as well. So, and several of the other current V8 drivers, Alex Rulo and I think several from the GT4 class like Glenn Wood and people from the Australian GT Championship. Yeah, quite a few.
Did you ever watch
Nicky Team?
Yeah.
Later that we haven't mentioned. I don't know what really Nicky's doing. I haven't seen him too often. To be fair, I don't pay much attention. But I'm not sure how active he is still. But former world endurance champion, of course.
Yeah, he still jumps on and does a bit of IMSA and ILMS races and whatnot. I've never been in a session with Nicky yet, but I have come across Max and Lando on track before, and obviously there's a lot of the Aussie guys.
I think he used to do some of the IMSA strength of field races that you and me used to do some back in the day. I know he used to do it on the Sunday afternoon potentially.
I don't think I ever did them with you.
Oh, right.
I think I took part. I remember actually
I think
one of my
that's
first ever broadcasted races was around this track, and this was back when I was mega excited about being broadcast. Now I realise, I mean, let's face it, the broadcast wasn't any good, so I was almost upset that I was even shown on camera. I was doing quite well actually compared to what I usually do. I think I was running second place around here, and this was like, top split, DP admittedly, so about 7 people signed up. But I was doing really well, and then I randomly disconnected my connection broke, and I was quite disappointed. So some bad memories right there. I did end up. I don't think I ever won one of those broadcasted.
Oh right, you did have that Marco Archidiacono guy that was quite good in that.
He was pretty good, yeah.
You had this is really testing.
Oh, I need to go back actually now.
Michael,
of course, Michael Evdoka was pretty good.
Yeah, Michael Evdoka, yeah.
There's the Aussie dude who I can't recall what his name was actually. I'm gonna have to try to find it, but he was very competitive and beat me.
There you go.
I finished 3rd place one season in the DP overall, so that was one of my best achievements.
Do you ever remember a show, Brad, in Australia called Shannon's Supercar Showdown?
Yeah. Probably not something that I saw a lot of, but yeah, I'm aware of it.
Yeah, I just remember you mentioned Glenn Wood. I remember one season of it I watched. I think his brother Dale was in it or something like that. For those of you that have literally no idea what I'm talking about, there was a show in Australia a couple of years ago. I don't think it's still being run now, but basically they got a whole load of Pro-Am drivers, I'd say, and the winner, and they were put through a series of tests, a bit like GT Academy in that respect. And the winner got to drive in the Bathurst 1000, and it was all right. I gave it a watch one season. In fact, a few of the people that are in it are actually still in V8 supercars now.
Yeah, there were a few drivers that came through that program.
He was a teenager when he was in it, and now he's actually doing pretty well in the V8 supercars. Let me just try and find out. I think it's Andre Heimgardner. Yeah, he was in Shannon's Supercar Showdown, and he's a regular in that series now, I think. Yeah, that's a bit of a...
Yeah, he's doing quite well, racing for Kelly Brothers Racing and Nissan this year.
All right. Oh, they were the two judges on it, so that doesn't surprise me.
He's also been racing. Did some races in the inaugural season of the Australian TCR series this year.
All right.
As well.
Andrew Jordan, yeah, he was part of it. Well done, Ryan Walker. Ryan Walker on the YouTube channel. Yeah, he was in season 1 of it. Of Shannon Supercar Showdown. There was a guy from America in it in the series I watched. He was called Texas Ed, but that was all I remember about it. I think he used to say "nailed it" quite a lot. There you go. It's 1 o'clock in the morning here in the UK. We've got 37 minutes to go in the Sim Races for Mental Health charity event here at Daytona International Speedway. As here comes Eric Malero up the inside of Chad McCott, who have been looking at for the last few laps. If you do want to watch Shannon Supercar Showdown, not that we are promoting or anything, it might actually be on YouTube, not too sure. This was back when I had a massive craze for V8 supercars, I must admit.
If you're interested in V8 supercar, even vaguely, the best thing to be watching around that at the moment is a show which is only on YouTube, and it's been put together by 2 former racers, Paul Morris and Russell Ingall, the Enforcer and the Dude. That's what the show is called, the Enforcer and the Dude. That's their nicknames. And it's just put together by them, and it's actually really good. It's getting a really large following, and yeah, go and check it out. There's about 13 episodes that they've done so far, and a couple other little features. And yeah, they kind of dig up a lot of stuff which other media outlets aren't, and they do some really interesting interviews. So yeah, if you're interested in sort of check it out, and they kind of give their views on what they think should change with the technical regulations of the cars, and to try and bring costs down, because supercars is it's struggling a little bit at the moment. Would be a fair thing to say. So yeah, it's a good show if you're interested in what's happening with supercars. Go and check that out. It's worth a watch.
Always after a good podcast, I must admit. Got a few IndyCar ones, got the Autosport playlist, and I don't know if there's any Supercars ones. We'll talk about that in a minute, because David Hall has just been into the pits, and Eric Malero has now also come in with just over half an hour ago. Sam Fitzpatrick was right about this, saying that there is one more stop left, and here it is with just over half an hour to go, and it has been a bit of a long stop. Let's see how long it is gonna be. And he is
6 seconds faster though than David Hall, crucially. So was 20 seconds, should be 26 by that logic. So.
Shorter fuel, being a bit closer to the end there. So, again we see a car kind of flirting with danger there on the pit exit line.
Oh. Yeah, and unlike the F1 games, you don't get a warning for that on iRacing. You get a black flag and you got to come straight back into the pits. So that's the one thing that Eric doesn't want to do with 5.5 hours worth of racing in the books. Just to finally, just to put a closer on the Aussie Motorsport. I was listening to Sir Jason Plato's audiobook a couple of weeks ago. He's just brought out an autobiography, and he was speaking in one of the chapters about one of his experiences in the Bathurst 1000 in the late 90s and the early noughties. And I think in his final ever appearance in the Bathurst 1000, he was partnered up with the late great Peter Brock, if I'm not mistaken. And he says in the audio book that he was responsible for their retirement from the race. Was Plato. I haven't actually seen the race. I don't know if it was on Supercars Super Archive at all, which is a good streaming service, by the way. But I don't know if you remember that race, Brad. Was he?
I do remember him coming out and taking part a couple of times. It's such a unique race, and those cars are very different from anything that the other guys drive over in Europe and that. So when those guys do come across here, it generally doesn't end well for them.
Well, yeah, look at the Surfers Paradise Celebrity Race. Oh, not Celebrity Race, but the Surfers Paradise race meeting a couple of years ago, when everybody would be partnered up with the international racing drivers anyway.
But yeah, it's interesting. Simona hasn't done too bad, given the car that she's been in. I think she's done quite well to stick it out for a few years. It's debatable whether she'll be back next year after she's just signed that sort of reserve or testing driver role with Porsche for their Formula E program.
All right.
But yeah, Simona de Silvestra's been over here racing with Kelly brothers in the Nissan. But they're dropping back to a smaller operation next year, and they're going to switch to the Mustang. So Simona's going to have to find a drive elsewhere if she's going to stay in the supercars.
Oh yeah, of course, because this is the last year of the Falcon, isn't it?
Last year of the Nissan. So the Falcon's already gone.
Oh,
Mustang's been Mustang's been running this year. But yeah, the Nissan won't be around next year. So
Ryan Walker on the YouTube chat going down memory lane with Bathurst. I think Plato was partnered up with Muller once, and I think it was under a safety car, and he was going down the Conrod Straight, and he thought then was the perfect time to relieve himself in the car, and he gets back to the pits, and he expected it to go out of the car, Plato, or where you can envisage it. And he gets into the pits, and Ivan Muller steps in and realizes he just steps into a puddle of Plato's own pee, basically. And by the time that Plato gets back into the garage and puts the headphones on, he's there back just in time to hear, "Oh, the dirty English B-word has pissed in the seat." That is an extract from Plato's book, so hopefully I've sold it well. But yeah, that is a story of Bathurst from Plato.
Yeah, that's not the first story about that particular race. I know Craig Lowndes he's made it well known that he's had a similar scenario with Jamie Whincup before.
All right.
Getting in and finding a damp seat. So anyway, fortunately the drivers here in this race don't have to worry about that kind of thing.
Oh, definitely
well, we
not.
certainly hope. We hope they don't have to.
They're definitely not sharing seats. That's for sure. Half an hour to go then here. 29 minutes to go here at Daytona. Bathurst 1000 is one legendary race, I must admit. There is
the 12 hours a great race as well, and next year it's going to be another enduro added to the calendar late next year with a TCR enduro, which will be great. Hopefully we'll see a lot of international teams coming over for that.
It's quite incredible how the Bathurst 12 hours has grown in popularity so quickly. Really, it's Yeah, it was on what was Motors TV before that went down the pan. I think it was even on BT Sport here in the UK in January this year. So
yeah, now it's part of the 24 series. It's getting a much bigger audience online because the SRO
oh yeah,
GT World
Stefan
channel
Rittel,
does,
yeah.
and they do a lot of streaming on there, and obviously the 24 series has a YouTube channel which stream the races as well. So
Yeah.
just a lot of those GT3 events are getting big audiences online now, and the prestige of the event brings a lot of teams over here.
Greg
It's
Dale.
just one of those tracks that everyone wants to experience at least once. But yeah, Greg DeHelse is having a bit of an issue there, talking about Australian motorsport, and he's the sole Australian driver in this event. He's probably not had the happiest of times out there, but I think their car's been a handful most of the race after there's some significant damage early on.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that'd be one thing I'd love to go and see before I get too old. Yeah, the Bathurst 1000, just the tribalism between Ford and Holden, a standout battle between David Reynolds and Jamie Whincup one year. I just remember seeing the Ford and the Holden flags flying in a final lap battle between those two. I think it was Jamie that came out on top in that one. But yeah, it was the green and white Ford versus the what was then, I think, still the Vodafone 888 cars. But it was still awesome. Yeah, 25 minutes to go then, and yeah, right now it is Daytona Prototypes 1 and 2 at the top of the order. Eric Malero just over a minute ahead of David Hall. He's just coming up to lap Ryan Sharp, who has been in the car for quite some time now. He's in third place. 15 minutes behind David Hall. Oh, look at this.
Ooh.
They're all sliding.
Just had a moment.
Going through turn 1 there.
I think that's not the first time that we've kind of put the curse on that car, actually. When we've just kind of cut to it, it's had a few moments throughout the race.
I mean, he's got 2 minutes 30 to spare, fortunately, to second place, so
Yeah.
you can afford a few more slides like that. The track, by the way, pretty much plateauing in terms of temperature. We saw it 30 odd degrees earlier on, down to 20 now. It's been 20 for about an hour, so for these drivers, the conditions kind of neutralising for the first time in the race, so no excuse for these slides, basically. But they too surprised by the grip level at this point.
Yeah, try driving around Manchester right now. It's 7 degrees here. I don't know what the road temperature
That's
is.
the real challenge.
But yeah, then they'd be screaming for grip. Into the pits with 24 minutes to go has come Stephen Brown, and the car is a mess.
Ooh,
no.
Yeah, I did see that car running slowly in the banking in the background of a shot just a moment ago. I wasn't sure if that was just a spin or something, but it looks like he definitely made contact with something out there.
I'm trying to find it, but the car's already wrecked here. Has he had some sort of issue?
I think it must have been
He's
in the
already
tail end of
broken.
the lap when it happened.
Yeah, it's already broken by this point, and this was about 5 minutes ago. This might be it. Car's looking fine here. This is Ryan Sharp in front of him, going into the horseshoe, and he goes straight on, but doesn't hit anything.
Yet.
Everything's fine here. Gets the power down. It shows him having jumped to the pits about a mere few seconds later, so let's stick with him. Let's speed up a little bit, see if anything transpires here. Everything hunky-dory going through this part of the circuit. Everything fine going onto the banking.
This was about 10 laps ago, so I assume he's picked it up a little bit after this.
Yeah, He entered the pits at about 10 minutes after that. Let's have a look and see the car's in a state at this
It
point.
should be lap 183, which you are now on. So this could be it.
Oh no, he's not gonna finally do what you've been talking about all night. Where, oh, hang on, Lawrence has helped us.
I think it might be the wrong corner though.
Lawrence has said connection issues and we got ran over, basically.
Oh, right. Okay.
I thought we were going to see your hitting the pit lane exit wall coming to fruition, but it looks like it wasn't the case. Let's just check for certain. That's him into the pits, coming out of it. We have got time to look at this. Gets back into the car. Bear with us. It's going to get going any second now.
The battle for second and third was quite close between Chad and Holland, but in World War III, Chad has won out clearly.
Yeah.
Oh, he did hit the curbs. That didn't help the situation.
Oh, yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, you got damage on those curbs on the exit there.
They're quite big, yeah, I must admit. And Lawrence is in the interview room now, so he might be able to explain what has transpired to his team in the closing stages here with the finish line in sight. Oh, Lawrence! No!
Yes, sir.
We're 20 minutes in sight. You're back in the pits. We had a quick look at the replays, and we saw Steve pulling away from the pit lane and going over those sausage curbs on the inside. But it wasn't that caused you having to come back into the pits again, was it?
He's actually having some connection issues. It started right at the end of his first stint there. We put Derek back in the car for a run, went smoothly, and then he jumped back in and had some more connection problems, caught the inside, that pit wall that you guys have been talking about the entire broadcast. And now we're back in the pits with about 11 minutes of repair. And his ping is back to normal, but as soon as he gets back on the track, he has issues.
I guess you got 11 minutes of repairs. I think you're 17 minutes ahead of Greg Dale, so I think you should be relatively safe now to remain in sixth place. But yeah, that must be a bit of a sickener for you, really, with you having driven so well up until that point.
Yeah, we were doing a good job, and Steven did a great job on his first stint. And it's sim racing, technical issues happen, but
yeah,
you can't fault him for that. And we're gonna take what we got, get this car fixed up. Might have either me or Derek finish out the run just to make sure we don't have any more connection problems happen. We were actually on a pretty good strategy there. We had second in sight after Chad passed us. We knew that he was gonna have to pit again, so we came in short pitted, decided to make the driver change, and wound up biting us. But it happens. Again, you can't fault Steven. He's done a great job. He did a great job up for us at Atlanta during Petit Le Mans too, and I'm sure he'll do a great job during the 24. But just unfortunate circumstances. But we're gonna try to finish this thing and bring this Porsche home and as many pieces as we can get it.
Oh, well, hard luck. But thanks for taking the time to come and speak to us again, and yeah, hopefully you can get the car back out again in the closing stages.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Great to hear from Lawrence again. A little story for you as we have 20 minutes to go. This is a tale of when I knew my days of racing on a laptop on iRacing were over. I was in a Blancpain, what it was then known as Blancpain, GT Series qualifiers. Me and Andrew Woodhouse thought we'd give it a crack and see if we could mix it up and maybe, who knows, get a pro license. Yeah, we thought that actually. And we did our qualifying during the week. Practice was fine. Laptop was coping with iRacing well there. The race starts. S-Bar goes into absolute meltdown, as you can imagine, on an Intel i3 from 2013. And yeah, I disappear. Cars can't see me, and then what Andrew Woodhouse tells me is that my car then materialised, flying through, flying through the air on the run down to the Variante Ascari chicane, and then coming to rest in the middle of the circuit. So there you go. Moral of this story is don't do any racing on a laptop with a very old graphics processor. So connection issues weren't the issue for me on that occasion. It was just the power of the computer. But I can feel the pain that Indy Autosport Petite Road have gone through there right now with 18 minutes to go.
I mean, I'm sitting here. I must say, because there's not too many drivers out here, I can run low graphics settings on my replay, actually. In fact, yeah, I've got everything on low apart from cars, which was on medium. So,
and the frames per second?
Levels I've ever seen it. Frames per second 30.
There we go.
I mean,
yeah. Have you had to turn it down to 15?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Most broadcasts, almost all broadcasts, I turn it down to 15 with everything on the lowest settings. But I was racing earlier on at 36 FPS with every graphics setting on low, and it was fine. Round into Lager. I mean, round some circuits it is pretty much impossible. Kota, for example, is quite taxing on your processor. Also Imola as well. But around most circuits, I can cope.
Le Mans, I had to do a whole broadcast on chase cam because TV1
I think I saw that one actually. Yeah.
Was just it couldn't do it, so I had to do it on chase cam. So well, it wasn't the end of the world. In fact, I think I got this PC that we're broadcasting. I think I got that a couple of weeks after doing that. I think that was the final straw for that one. I bet Brad's just here going, what on earth am I partnered up with here? But
well, actually, when I started iRacing March this year, when I signed up, I was actually running it through a boot camp installation on a MacBook Pro, just running that to my TV.
Oh.
So that wasn't an ideal scenario, but it worked. And it worked long enough until I did a PC build. I hadn't had a PC in over 20 years actually before I built this one. My sort of a lot of work I do is audio, and that industry pretty much runs on Mac. So
yep.
I hadn't had one for a long time, and was only console gaming for ages before I decided to get onto iRacing. So yep. So everyone at one point or another is sort of trying to make do with some kind of inadequate hardware. It's just the way it goes. You make best of what you have at the time, but fortunately the machine I've got now is able to do things relatively well.
Oh yeah.
Having said that though, iRacing is not that taxing. Like this build is still a cheap build that I did. It's only like a $250, like I'm talking Australian dollars, which is worth nothing. So yeah, very cheap processor and just a 1060 graphics card, and it's still able to run nearly all max settings on iRacing and Race Room or whatever. So you don't need to have a 2080 or anything like that to be able to run iRacing.
Well, I was going to say this PC that's doing this broadcast right now is now oh god, when did I get it? I got it in 2016, so it's into its 4th year of service now, and it's pretty much it's almost on the highest settings, and it's running 1080-60 as you can see on the YouTube stream. So coping pretty well. I did have a Driving Force GT. That probably is inadequate hardware in this day and age until a couple of weeks ago. I brought a G920 when I got back from the Sim Racing Expo this year. So keeping up with the times, I guess. And I have been using that in the BSR TCR series, which I need to get back into doing. Haven't been racing in that for the last few weeks.
Absolutely. I mean, the good and bad thing about Logitech wheels as well is that they do last for a very long time, and so they don't break enough to give you a shove to actually buy something better. So you're kind of just stuck with it for about a decade, unfortunately. Once you
A bit like Nokia phones, they just don't. You can't kill one, can you?
Exactly.
It's true. My Driving Force GT is still going. Well, yeah. As far as I'm aware, it's still going. So that's a uni with me.
I haven't taken that step yet.
Just in the background there, just caught the HH racing car.
Oh, hello. Is that Chad?
He had a little bit of a moment.
Oh, by the way, the HH racing team, they might get disqualified. Steve Rada has only done 15 laps so far.
Oh, all right.
He needs to do 17 laps to comply with the fair share rule. So, if anyone from that team is listening, if you change drivers now, you might not get disqualified. Of course, I mean it's a bit of a dumb rule, and but according to iRacing, it will bump them a little bit further down the standings. Don't know how many penalty laps you get. I mean, I guess you don't finish behind people who didn't even take part in the race. Usually disqualifications, you just get disqualified on the lap that you got disqualified on. Yeah, I don't know how that will work out. Everyone else though seems to be fine when it comes to that. It's just H&H racing.
We've got 10 minutes left. They're 8 laps ahead of Stephen Brown. So it will have to be a hefty whack, and it would be a tad unfair, as after all this is a charity event. The SR4MH, the Sim Racers for Mental Health charity event. Greg Dale is off the circuit, and there is an airport near here, and I wonder if he's trying to get get on the first flight back down under here, because the last hour or so hasn't been too good for him. The car is just about pointing in a straight line as we go on board with him. Everything looks okay here, but I wonder if something sinister is lurking under that Ferrari bonnet as he tries to get the car pointing the right way through the oval.
Do we get planes setting in the background around this circuit? I swear we do.
Oh, you mean the plane coming into land?
Yeah.
You do. I don't know if I've got the setting ticked for it.
Right. Okay.
I do, but yeah, you are right. There is a plane that does come into land. Yeah.
Because there's quite a few of those now. Of course, we got a train around one of the dirt circuits, and also around Belle Isle they've added a big ship.
Oh right.
Which is in the like a steamship, which is in the background. And I run the lowest graphics settings, and yet I still saw the steamship, which clearly shows where iRacing's priorities are when it comes to those graphics. So yeah, saw that in the background. Looks very nice. But no planes today, unfortunately. Maybe they all crashed in the Pacific, like we feared.
God.
And just as we were talking about that, looks like they might have picked up on that fair share rule. We'll see there could be a driver change here. Last minute driver change.
Yeah, into the pit lane does come Chad McCotts. Not too far away from Chad Leclos, who is a South African swimmer. So yeah, Steve Rada is into the pits. Is into the car, I should say, for the final 8.5 minutes.
So he needs to complete 2 laps to comply with the fair share. So he's got enough time. He should be fine.
Yeah, he can coast round here as he puts the power down. And this should be the last bit of pit lane action for us today. Let's just hope that Steve doesn't hit the wall. No, he doesn't. A lot of crackling there from that BMW as he gets off the pit lane speed limiter And back going again, and look who else is back on the pit. It is back on the track. It's Steve Brown, and it looks like his internet issues have subsided because it's not Lawrence that's in the car. It is Steve, and the car definitely doesn't look well. I think the required repairs have been done, and the optional repair. Oh dear, no. The optional repairs definitely haven't. It looks like, and yeah, he's just in it for the final 7 minutes or so. So that off is Steve. Two Steves off at the horseshoe, and that's not at all good.
So
Steve Brown's crashed.
It's as though there's been like a sudden downpour, and everyone can't possibly cope. But
nearly all those GTE cars are struggling and looking a bit worse for wear after almost 6 hours. Obviously, the Enter Name Here car has not looked healthy for a long time.
I have to say the best looking GTE car still is Ryan Sharp. I don't know if it might have looked a bit worse earlier, but he's been plugging away pretty well. Steve Radder is off this time at the bus stop. There's the plane. It was just taking off there from our camera there on the exit of the bus stop chicane. Right on cue. Speaking of which, Flight Simulator, the new Flight Simulator looks good, and that's coming out next year. Yeah, Flight Simulator X might finally have to go in the bin. Not too sure on that one. Lawrence, he's limping the car home for P3, and who can blame him as we look at him here.
Of course, that new Flight Simulator does have the runway at Indianapolis, so because it uses Bing Maps, I believe.
It does, yeah. So,
I mean, of course, everyone always wants to be able to fly past their house.
Yeah.
And they pretty much will be able to, because I believe Bing Maps pretty much covers everything. So that'll be quite a cool element. And yeah, the Indianapolis actually, I think some elements I imagine they put some extra work into it. That looks quite cool from a few thousand meters above.
Well, yeah, because there's quite metropolitan areas that have got like the 3D buildings and whatnot. So I guess that element would be dragged into it. I think you can also take off from any airport in the world. Not too sure. I think that might be.
Wow. Okay.
They mentioned in one of the videos that Andrew Woodhouse sent me that there's something as much as a few petabytes worth of data that they've gathered in building this. It's going to be on Xbox One as well. Other games consoles are available, but I'm intrigued to see how it's going to transfer across to console. Obviously, having always been out on PC. One thing that these drivers aren't worrying about though is Flight Simulator. They're worrying about just getting to the checker flag here, and here is Eric Malero, 1 minute and 11 seconds ahead of David Hall in second. And he's looked in total control, so too of all of his teammates in Rodrigo Barbosa.
It's still, after 6 hours, it's not a huge margin. Like those two cars have been pretty competitive with each other, pace-wise.
Their best laps are identical, by the way.
Just a little bit over a minute apart after 6 hours, so it's been a good fight between those two, even though it hasn't been wheel to wheel for the later parts of the race. It's good to see that they just kept pushing each other.
Rada has now completed enough laps to mean that HH Racing will no longer get disqualified, which I'm in a way I'm a bit disappointed about, because I genuinely don't know about what happens when you get disqualified. I don't know what the penalty is. But no, well done to those guys. I mean, really, it seems as though that team has been comprised of Rada, McCosk, Stanley and myself, to be honest. I will take some responsibility for that second place, which they're going to achieve in their class.
Jack.
But you haven't done your fair share of laps though.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're
So
gonna
they
get
might still get
disqualified.
disqualified.
Oh, sorry guys.
I joined halfway through. I don't know, or just over halfway through. I don't know whether my fair share of laps would have been done. Jack Dormish on the YouTube chat. He drives for GTSL, or he drove for GTSL in this race today. Saying, considering they were 2 laps down after the first corner, to be just 1 minute and 15 seconds away from Eric Malero with 2 laps to go is not too shabby an achievement, and he'd be right. Yeah, that is still pretty good.
Yeah, particularly that first stint, making their way through the field and sort of getting back onto terms with the DP leader was was pretty impressive. It was good to see. Definitely made the race a lot closer and interesting in that middle portion when we had a few of the DPs still quite close together.
Yeah, there he is. David Hall in second place. And also, person on the YouTube chat, impressive that GT3 is running with the GTE cars, and it's true. Chase Barry there in 4th place, 7 places gained in this one. And right now he is the top he's the top GT3, I should say. Force of habit from the other broadcaster do on this channel, and he is the top. And he is in 4th place overall. So, there's a mighty achievement.
Someone also said earlier on, nice graphics on the overlay.
There you go.
Of course, check out SDK Gaming if you want to use this very overlay on your own streams, of course, along with plenty of other features as well.
Yeah, it's totally revolutionised the way we do our broadcasts, that's for sure. Final lap then for Eric Malero. And what an event it's been here as he goes into the first corner. He's not taking the line that his co-driver was doing. That's for sure.
Yeah, you question them about that.
Oh no, I joined the broadcast, and the first thing I saw was David. Daniel, sorry, was taking that crazy line through the first corner for about 2 or 3 consecutive laps. I thought there was something wrong with my my sim at first, but that aside, they've been in imperious form at the front of the field. We've had many drivers in their team, including the son of João Barbosa in Rodrigo, and they've all contributed to what looks set to be a solid performance. Steve Ryder is within distance of the line. Steve, you've got about half a lap left as Eric Malero comes into the bus stop chicane for the final time. So,
yes, just one more corner. By the way, Ryder's had a slight 7th spin, but still won't get disqualified. Good result for them. 2nd place it should be for that team. But Eric Malero for RLB Racing, the driver who started the car, of course, got them off to such a brilliant start, built up a massive lead very early on, and since then it's just been protecting that all the way. Eric Malero for RLB Racing crosses the line, and he wins this event. Mental health awareness, epilepsy awareness, and he wins the DP and the overall category. David Hall will need to... has he finished the race, Hall?
I don't think he has.
He still needs to complete this lap. But next up across the line will be the GT3 leader, actually. Will be Chase Barry for Team Mandy, who have dominated this car. What could have been, perhaps, if it weren't for the McConey brothers getting involved. But Chase Barry and Team Mandy absolutely superb. They've mixed it with the GTEs, and that is a thoroughly deserved win in the GT3 category for them. And 4th place overall, a mighty effort against 2 faster classes. They were some of the best drivers out there, absolutely faultless. That car very fit across the line. And then also Ryan Sharp is yet to cross the line, I believe, leader of the GTE drivers. and that's called Ice Dragons Racing IDR Red. And here they are, around the NASCAR turns 3 and 4, roaring up to the line. And of course, they didn't lead for much of this race. I think they were the 4th different GTE leader of this race, but once they got it, they did not let it go. And Ryan Sharp and Ice Dragons Racing IDR Red win in the GTE category then at Daytona. 203 laps they managed to complete. That is quite an effort.
Steve Brown gets across the line with
that evil handling Porsche.
Oh dear me! It's anyway, Halloween has been and gone, but yeah, that's something out of a horror film. David Hall comes across the line. I wonder if he even had enough fuel in it, because of course he had to do that extra lap, and he does come across the line and is the final car to finish, but he does take the 2nd place spot in the DP category. And as the donuts begin, I was going to find out who was doing those donuts. I think it's Eric, isn't it? Yep, it is. He's very happy.
They've got enough fuel left for donuts.
Oh yeah, you got to have enough fuel for donuts. It's like having enough space for dessert. Yeah, he's loving life right now, especially after winning a 6-hour race. And while he does that, and while the fireworks are going off in the sky, I think it is bonfire night tomorrow. Remember the 5th of November. Let's get the race results up on the screen and see how they all finished in this 6-hour event here at Daytona International Speedway. Oh, maybe not. Hang on. Let's try that again. This is really not going well.
Well, at least we've got a nice shot of Malari doing some donuts now across the finish line, along with a couple of other drivers. Oh, a blown engine as well. That is not smoke from the tyres, that is smoke from the engine coming out of the Mercedes. That will be, of course, the Team Andy car. And I always say this, but honestly, someone needs to learn how to write with this, with the tyres. I mean, how's no one come up with a way to write some kind of message? It'd be absolutely genius. Instead, just circles at the moment. But taking some nice photos, I'm sure, as well.
I'm really struggling to get the classified results up here. Hang on. There you go. They're right on the front of the grids while they're doing this.
They're just laughing about the blown engine in the chat. They're saying that they didn't hit anything all night, and then they went and blew the engine up for the photo.
God. There you go, more donuts. While one car simmers away on the start finish line. I'm going to try one more time to get the race results up on the screen. If not, we can get the timing tower up and just go from there. No. Don't know why it's doing that.
So Malloy did have a lot of fuel then to spare.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
That must be said. Right then, timing tower up then to run us through the finishing results then from a good evening's racing here at Daytona International Speedway. Eric Malero wins for RLB Racing. David Hall finishing in 2nd. That team sounds very happy from the YouTube chat. Jack Dolmage was as quoted as saying he's really happy. They take 2nd place for GTSL Red. Completing the podium is the winner of the GTE category, and that is Ryan Sharp, piloting the Ice Dragons Racing IDR Red squad. 4th, Top GT3, and mixing it up with the GTEs is Chase Barry in the Team Mandy car. A handy finish for Team Mandy. Then 5th place, Steve Rada for HH Racing. Steve getting his quota in to make sure that he wasn't DQ'd, and the top BMW in the field. Steve Brown manages to drag the car home in 6th. Lawrence on the YouTube chat saying they'll take P3 in class given the circumstances, and that is true. Yeah, they complete the GTE podium. Then it's Greg Dale in 7th overall, 4th in class. Then it is William Krushka, we were speaking to him earlier. Jeffrey McConey, we were also speaking to him too. The Merc having issues there, and then obviously you've got the trio of DPs that failed to finish too. Blake Trarick, Filippo Filippini, and Vincenzo Raya at the rear.
So it looks like we have a bit of a collection of drivers in the interview waiting area to have a word post-race.
Yes, quite a few of them who we haven't had a chance to have a chat with so far. Just seeing if I can recognise from their nicknames anyone who is on there.
Oh, we got Chase Barry. Yeah.
Chase Barry. I mean, yeah, we could probably guess that from Chase Barry 2010, using our detective skills. So we may as well have a chat with him then, because, of course, winner of the GT3 category. Congratulations, Chase. I mean, perfect drive from you guys. I mean, it was we didn't really see have any misdemeanors out there. I'm sure maybe you had a couple of offs, but that car looked very good after the checker flag. Not a minute after the checker flag though.
Yeah, the race went pretty good. I had to tear it up. That was the first time I hit something all night. Got lucky early in the race. Like when I first got in the car, started, I looped it in the bus stop, and then drove my way back. But other than that, it was fun. That was awesome.
Absolutely. Where was kind of the most tricky area of the circuit? Maybe where you were on edge most? Was that the bus stop?
Not really. It was actually, for me, it was getting into turn 1, like in that little double apex at the 1 right there, because the car tends to, the back end just tends to step out if you brake too late. If you brake too early, it's bleh. But if it brake too late, it just snaps. It'll whip around on you. So just trying to manage keeping the back end of the car stable going into the first corner coming off the travel.
And in terms of kind of GT3 racing, do you have much experience in this car?
I mean, I run it here and there, like whenever we just goof off an official. I mean, I did the 24-hour race, but we did it in a DP car. So, yeah, it's not really. Just basically just picked it up and just...
And what other series can we expect to see Team Mandy being represented in?
I don't know. We ran this because one of my friends, his wife is with epilepsy. So he was like, hey, it'd be awesome if you run. I was like, all right. So I got me and Pogo to run with us. So me and him, ran it for one of my friends is his wife. So I don't know if we'll run it out. We might bring it out here and there, but we know it's just a special occasion for this race.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I mean, yeah, brilliant that this kind of series, that this league can once again raise so much money. Have you done much races before with awareness for mental health sim racing?
What was that again? Sorry,
have you done many races for in this league before?
Oh no, this is my first one.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so do you think you'll do many of the future ones? Because on the most part, they're usually oval races.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'll do whatever. I mean, if I get offered to come back, it'd be fun. I mean, I can drag Pogo along. Yeah, I mean, if I'm wanted back, It was definitely fun. Very interesting. Very good racing.
Yeah, absolutely was. Thanks for putting on such a great show out there, Chase. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for putting it on, or the broadcast and the guy. Yeah. Anyways, and I want to thank Jeff for running with me, kind of last minute, but thanks to him for running with me, Derek and Mandy. I hope everything gets good for them, and And everybody who ran a good race kind of upset I didn't beat the GTE cars.
Well, you certainly gave it a fantastic effort. Thanks for having a chat with us, Jason. Hopefully, we'll see you back soon on circuit.
All right, thank you.
So that was Chase Barry, of course, winner today in the GT3 category, and a 4th place overall as well. Who are we going to have a chat with next? We've got a few to choose from.
I think we might have Derek Hull on there. I'm just taking a guess on the nickname there, but I think that might be who we have there next in line. Hi, it's Brad in the booth. I think that might be Derek that we've got there.
Are you sorry? This is Jack.
Jack, sorry, I couldn't. We're just trying to take a guess with the nickname on the server. So.
Oh, I tried changing it. Must not have slid over there. Yeah, no, Dullnage.
No worries. So yeah, that's how was the event for you? And
yeah, it was interesting. It was a battle back, basically a recovery drive. We basically, the way our schedules worked, we had 3 guys that were going to do this race, and probably 10 minutes before practice, or 10 minutes before kind of the event started, one of our guys, our ringer, his rig busted. I'm not exactly sure what the details were, but something broke on it, and he wasn't able to attend. So then we were scrambling to try to get a 3rd guy. We ended up getting 4 because the one guy could only do one half stint, which was Brandon Cocker at the start, and he just. At the start, it was just a tiny little touch on the rear of another car, and it just threw us into the wall and gave us 3 minutes of damage. And that was basically, for some reason, the quick repair didn't kick in. So we basically started 2 laps down right after T1, and then it was just a fight back from there. And everybody did really well and set some good laps and kept the car clean. And we were within 19 seconds after my last stint, with probably about 45 minutes left. And then after the next round of pit stops and some fuel savings, it extended out quite a bit.
Yeah, it did get a bit closer there with around an hour to go, which was good given how the event started for you guys. How did you find? Like, obviously, there weren't too many cars out on track, but it looked like in the infield there was still the potential for disaster with traffic. How did that play out for you guys?
Yeah, if anything, that was actually more detrimental to us than anything else, the lack of traffic. Doing a comeback race, traffic throws up so much opportunity. If we hit it right and they wouldn't, and RBL would have got caught in a couple places, who knows, when we were down to 20 seconds, it may have been a lot closer. So that was the thing, when we were scraping back, trying to really catch them up. We were just praying that we were going to hit a pocket. They were going to hit a pocket of traffic or something somewhere. I know it can work against us as well, but it gives more opportunity than having an open track, especially somewhere like Daytona, where it's really sector 1 and 2, where you have an opportunity for traffic to affect you, and then past that, you're just blowing by them on the straight. So it's it was tough. It was a tough race. It was a lot of fun. And I got to hand it to the guys from Sim Racing for Mental Health. They did a great job putting on the event, and unfortunate with some of the teams having to drop out with the date change, but who knows if they decide to do it again. GTSL is definitely there. We're trying to we're a relatively new team on the scene, so only been around for about a year now, and really only started getting kind of serious with doing something other than special events in August. So still pretty fresh. So we're definitely someone we hope they contact us again and let us know, because it was a great event. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and how close were you guys on fuel there at the end?
Yeah, we really, I mean, if we would have had pressure from behind, we would have most likely just done a splash and dash instead. But because there was a little bit of a gap between 2nd and 3rd place, David just kind of put it onto map 3 and coasted around there to try to make up the fuel. And And I mean, we knew kind of from the start that it was going to be close at the end, but you know, the car, that DP car is so much fun to just give it full beans, because you know the rear end likes to swing out a little bit, and you kind of control that through the corner more than try to mitigate it. You hit the loud pedal as hard as you can coming out sometimes, and sometimes it gives you the turn in, sometimes a little bit too much, but it's a lot of fun. And David was having a blast driving it like that, so we just kind of he just said, you know, he put it down to map 3 a little earlier, and he said, oh, you know, it's so slow, it's so boring to drive. I said, oh, what? You know, we got a big gap, go ahead, have some fun driving it, and bring it home clean. So
no worries. Well, congratulations on the result, and hopefully we can see you guys out on future events on Apex Racing TV. Before we let you go, is there anyone else you want to give a shout out to?
yeah, I definitely want to give a big shout out to Brandon Cocker, Anthony Locke, and David Hall, the guys who drove with us. You know, like I said, both of those guys, David Hall and Brandon Cocker, had probably less than an hour of practice each before this event, because they filled in and only had about an hour notice before the race started. So you know, just good on them for being able to accommodate so quickly, to be able to put the car on the grid, and just they did a phenomenal job getting prepared, and set some pretty competitive lap times considering the complete lack of practice they had. So just, yeah, big shout out to those guys for helping out and being able to accommodate on such short notice.
Oh, no worries. And yeah, thanks for joining us up here in the booth, Jack. And yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you out on track again.
For sure. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.
Cheers.
Good to hear from Jack, and it was a good job by his team today. We have got 3 drivers waiting patiently to speak to us. It is 2 o'clock in the morning, so I'll try and rattle through these as quickly as we can. The Scotsman, I am almost tempted to say that's Ryan Sharp, but
It sure is.
it is. So let's grab him in for a quick word. I'm intrigued to put this to work out whether he is he is the World Touring Car driver I was talking about earlier. I'm alive.
Hello.
Hello, Ryan.
Hello.
Welcome to the commentary box. Are you the Ryan Sharp that raced in the World Touring Car Championship a couple of years ago?
No. Many people who ask me that now, is unreal. No, I'm not, unfortunately. But it was exciting to see it.
There's more than one Ryan Sharp in Scotland, then, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it definitely wasn't a touring car you were driving today. It was a Ferrari, and it was probably one of the cleanest GTE cars we had in the field by the time the checker flag was out there. It looked like it was a pretty quiet one out for you once you got in the car, anyway.
I would say it was quiet, but after turn 1, we kind of got damage. But rather than that, it was pretty easy with a few people spinning each way. It came out clean, I would say.
And what was it like racing at night as well? Because obviously the track gets a little bit cooler. Does that kind of help the Ferrari in these conditions?
Yeah, I prefer driving Daytona at night than in day, as you'd have seen.
Yeah. 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 What's your? Have you raced in many enduro races like this before? Are you quite comfortable with the lengths of the stints, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I used to race with another team before I joined Ice Dragon Racing, and I've done I mainly do special events mainly.
Yeah.
For roadside. So I've done about a handful of them this year. So yeah, I'm pretty happy, comfortable with it, and I actually enjoy doing endurance races more than racing sprint series stuff.
What's the Ferrari like these days? Obviously, it's become known for probably being one of the quickest of the GTE cars. Even with all the balance of performance changes that always go on every season on iRacing, is it always still a pretty decent car to drive?
It's decent. It's still up there with your Porsche and BMW still, but you've got to drive the car, I would say now, more than the car driving you around, I would say.
Cool. And yeah, what events are you planning to do then in the new year, starting from next year?
We are planning on doing pretty much all the Irish special events for the 24-hour races and the 12-hour races, and we are looking at doing the ILMS endurance races as well. We've dipped in a few on this season, But yeah, it's just us trying to find time for the ILMS side. It's kind of a bit of a handful for us because I'm only one of the two of us who actually stay in Scotland. The rest of them stay like in Australia or America, so it's pretty hard for us to all agree on.
There we go. Ryan, well done today. Top GCE driver. And before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anyone?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank all the teammates, Aaron, especially Aaron, who has got the most diabolical internet going. but I kind of knock the guy. The guy stays there and puts himself through the pain barrier. But everybody on our team just gives us moral support. It's absolutely fantastic, in all fairness. But I'd rather say right now, I would like to say thanks to SR4MH for putting on the event. It's quite a good event, and we are probably, if we have another endurance race, we are probably looking to do it again, I would say.
Okay, well, yeah, great job by you and the guys today, and yeah, thanks for taking the time to come and speak to us in the commentary box. And now I know that you're not the Ryan Sharp that races in the World Touring Car Championship as well. So there you go.
Thank you.
All right, speak to you in a bit, Ryan.
Speak to you in a bit.
Ryan Sharp there. Next up then, Sam, who we got? We've got two drivers left. We've got David Hall, and we've also got Greg Dale, I think that is. We could probably let the two Aussies duke it out there, Brad and Greg, and we'll speak to David Hall and then get off to bed, I think.
Yes, I think so. David, well, welcome to the commentary box. Congratulations, second place. And we've heard about the troubles at the start of the race. I mean, it was a pretty good recovery in the end.
Thank you. I just kind of came in to run the last stint so that Jeff didn't have to run a quadruple stint.
Yeah, it was certainly a decent run though at the end. How did you feel as though the four of you were in terms of pace? Would you say there was maybe one driver who was a little bit quicker than the others, because you all seem to be quite strong up there?
Jack definitely had a second on everybody. I got the benefit of running the late night shift, which was why I was able to get down into those 39s. But then I started having to save fuel because we were just one lap short, and I thought I had saved enough, but I forgot that sim racing apps sometimes miscalculates by a lap, and it did. So I had to turn around and start saving really hard again. Coming up to the end, the leader was only about 5 seconds behind me, and I realized I can switch back down to map 1, and if I can just beat him to the line, then I can literally coast the last lap and finish on the lead lap. So I kicked it back into gear and stayed in front of him. But yeah, I had about an hour to practice, and I historically do not like this car. I'm a fan of the Ferrari and have always struggled with the DP, but I got over the last summer, I actually got an actual racing rig instead of a mobile chair. I got my friends at the podcast kind of talked me into going ahead and get one of those, and it made a huge difference, and the DP is actually drivable now. So I know the track, I just didn't know the car very well, so I had to go on and just get familiar with the track, with the setup that they had, and then I had to run into a jazz band rehearsal, came back and ran the last stint.
Well, certainly a very good effort considering all of that. And I mean, in the closing stages, you guys got quite close to the lead. I think for about half an hour, you were running 20 seconds behind. Was there a parts of you that was thinking we could actually go and win this after all that had happened?
We certainly knew once they put their fastest drivers in that they were going to start pulling back away again. They had one driver who did not. I don't know if he wasn't taking it seriously or just was too inebriated, or who knows. They had one driver that had a rough time of it, used up their quick repair, but their last two anchor drivers were pretty quick, and we knew that we needed them to make another mistake, but we just did what we could to stay within striking distance if they did make a mistake.
And also, just looking at your incidents out there, 43 incidents, which is quite low for a 6-hour race, especially around this place where incidents, particularly around the bus stop, are quite possible to pick up. Was that a bit of a strategy from you guys just to make sure that you kept it within the confines of the circuit, just as a bit of security?
I'm not sure about the other guys. Like I said, I didn't get to be around for most of the event because I had a rehearsal that I had to be at for the early parts of the race. So I just came on for the last 2 stints, but I was not concerned about 4 exit or 1Xs in the bus stop. So I did collect quite a few there. I think I may have picked up most of them, but I was being careful not to get the slowdown. But definitely in a race like this with no instant limit, you're gonna take any advantage you can get. But I didn't feel like I was being overly cautious. The bus stop is about the only place where you can really aggressively pick up a 1X, but you're still taking a risk of getting that slowdown. And so I would say about 50% of the times I picked up a 1X in that corner on my stint.
Well, it certainly ended up very well for you guys. Second place in the end. Congratulations. Is there anyone you'd like to thank before we say goodbye?
I'd definitely like to thank the my GTSL allies. I'm actually a member of Tifosi Racing, and we're very close friends. Jack was recently a guest on our iRacers Lounge podcast, and so of course I'd also like to make a shout out plug to the iRacers Lounge podcast. We just had our 200th episode this week, in fact.
Well, thanks for having a chat with us, David, and best of luck for all your future races.
Thank you, guys. You've put on a good production here.
Thank you very much. So that was David Hall, of course, racing for GTSL Reds out there, and they finished second place overall and in the DP class. Brad, I think one more interview, and it will be with Greg Dale.
Yeah, hi, Greg. I believe this is Greg Dale, and we are speaking to here.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys, well, everyone led that GTE class at one stage or another, and then various cars had adventures throughout the race. Unfortunately, it didn't go your way in the end. But yeah, how was the race from your perspective?
Well, Drew got a great start off the line. Got a great start putting it on pole, and especially first. When I jumped in, I sort of struggled to get in the rhythm. I tried to pick up lap times a bit quicker than I probably should have, and I unfortunately had the first spin. Luckily, it wasn't too much damage, and we were able to do a quick repair, and have a quick stop in and out of the pits. But then I had another spin down turn one, damaging the I stuffed up in the bus stop, and from there we changed over to Timo, and that sort of ruined our race from there. But then yeah, Drew, he again had a flying double stint, and yeah, it was just unlucky that we weren't able to bring it home as better as we thought we would.
Yeah, I think I recalled the incident you were talking about. It's kind of losing the rear on the entry of the bus stop, and then pretty heavy impact on the inside wall there. But weren't the only car to lose the rear through that bus stop entry there. It was, looked like it was still some tricky conditions out there, even though the track temperature was quite low.
Yeah, it was just all about getting your braking zones right, and sometimes you could lock up if you had some tire wear and stuff, and you just didn't quite brake in the right spot. Mistakes can happen.
Yeah, and have you raced with these guys before, or was this sort of just something that was thrown together for this event? How'd you get involved?
Well, I saw it on the forums and all that, and I was interested and basically put out on like Facebook, on Discord chats and all that, looking for a partner. So these guys came. I think Drew came from a Discord chat. Timo came from a Reddit post I put out. But yeah, it was just a one-off thing, and I already gone through one teammate who bailed on me. So yeah, it was good. First time we'd ever raced together, and it was Timo and my first ever endurance race.
Oh, that's great that you can get involved in an event like this, obviously for a good cause as well, and to get out here and to get some endurance experience. It's always good to get more people who are involved in the endurance side of things, and hopefully we can see it out on future events. You think you try to put something together for the 24 now that you've done quite a few laps around here?
Yeah, I'll be looking at the 24, definitely getting maybe about 4 or 5 guys to do it. Some mates who are building PCs at the moment, they'll be coming over to iRacing, guarantee. So yeah, that's definitely one on the calendar to look forward to.
Oh, no worries. Well, yeah, thanks for taking part in the race today and having a chat to us here in the booth. Is there anyone else you'd like to thank before we wrap things up?
I would just like to thank you guys for like the stream and Sim Racing for Mental Health for putting this on. Timo and Drew, want to thank them. Last minute thing, first time we ever spoke to each other was Friday night, so it was very last minute. And yeah, thanks for all your help, guys.
Cool. No worries, Greg. We look forward to seeing you out on track again in the future. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks. See ya.
So that was Greg Dale, who was racing with the Enter Name Here team. Having just spoken to him, how that team came together, it's probably quite an apt name they chose. So a bit of a last-minute deal, but good that they can take part, and some new drivers getting some endurance experience for their first taste of endurance racing on iRacing.
Yeah, definitely a lot of drivers out on the field today. Not too many hours of road racing. Plenty of hours of oval, but it's good to see a few drivers having that transition. Of course, just a reminder. Of course, this league does host endurance races. Oval races quite a bit, all focused around mental health, and certainly do recommend checking out their Facebook page or their Facebook page. I think it's usually about one stream per month, one event per month that they put on, and they quite each month kind of raising money for a different cause. Today, of course, was epilepsy, and there's still an opportunity to donate in the link in the description below. Certainly, if you've enjoyed this broadcast, certainly we would mega appreciate it if you could donate whatever you could do, and certainly keep an eye out on these events in the future. This is the Sim Racers for Mental Health, of course, group. So certainly check out their Facebook page, especially if you're a fan of oval racing, because there'll be plenty of events just for you, and maybe there'll be some more events like this as well. Of course, been an absolute pleasure to broadcast this myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside Brad Clank, of course, for the entire 6 hours. Adam Barth, of course, for the final 3 hours, and also thanks to Sam Kumo as well, who did the cameras for the first 3 hours of the event as well. But I think that pretty much rounds us off, so thank you very much for checking in on this broadcast. But from me, from Brad, from Adam, and from Sam as well, we'll say goodbye, and we'll see you next time.